What's happening? Happy free agency frenzy Monday to all of you. Thanks for joining me as always. It is very much appreciated. Starting early today, of course, we're 15 minutes away from the legal tampering period beginning in the NFL. And just a few moments ago, Jonathan Jones of CBS, he posted the following at Blue Sky. The legal tampering window opens in about 15 minutes. One NFL executive said to me earlier to expect free agency to last, quote, all of 13 seconds, unquote. Buckle in. So Jonathan Jones of CBS says it's going to be very, very busy. 15 minutes from now, lots of anticipation. We've got to be realistic. We've got to be reasonable. And I also find this interesting. If you're not aware, Twitter, X, it's down. It was down earlier with an outage. It is down right now with an outage. So we don't have the blue check mark situation. So I do have some concerns about people going to Blue Sky and having some fun. But I have a Blue Sky account. I am following everybody that you need to follow on Blue Sky. Now, of course, not everybody is on Blue Sky. Adam Schefter, for example, is not on that app. But I am as prepared as I can be. I've got the deck blue up, ready to roll, and I'm following everybody I've got to follow. So in about 14 minutes, we will see what happens as we start. So going to keep an eye on Blue Sky throughout this show. I don't know how long this podcast is going to go. This podcast is going to go for as long as you want it to go. I've got water. I don't drink coffee. If I did, I'd be pounding coffee today. But I am here with you today for as long as you want to be here. Some quick updates before we get to free agency. Godchaux traded to the New Orleans Saints for a 2026 seventh-round pick. He is a two-gapping defensive tackle. Those guys have almost no value in the trade market, so I'm not surprised it's a seventh-round pick in next year's draft. We also heard that Godchaux is going to get his contract redone with the Saints when he inevitably gets there. So Godchaux out. He goes to the Saints. He's not a fit. He's not a fit with Vrabel. He's not a fit with Terrell Williams on the field. Again, he's that big two-gapping defensive tackle. That's not what Williams and Vrabel like. They like guys in the interior defensive line that can get after the quarterback. We talked about it last night. Godchaux's not that guy. There's also some locker room stuff, pointing fingers at others. I don't know if a lot of people loved the way that Godchaux handled certain situations last year, as it's been reported. So that was a problem. He's also a Gerard Mayo guy. Mayo went on his podcast last year. So it doesn't look like he's going to be a fit on or off the field. Patriots knew that, so they moved on. Godchaux goes to the Saints for a seventh-round pick in next year's draft. The cap savings, interestingly enough, the cap savings are not big this year. The cap savings are not big this year, but the Patriots will save about $8 million of cap space next year with Godchaux being gone. The interior defensive line, now you've got Christian Barmore. Of course, you've got questions about Barmore, his health situation. Hopefully, he is able to come back from those blood clots, but we don't know. Reportedly, a couple of weeks ago, we are supposed to hear some kind of word about Godchaux near the beginning of April. So Barmore. So Barmore, with those blood clots, he's going to be dealing with those, and hopefully he's able to come back. Right now, the interior defensive line is Barmore. It's Jaquelin Roy, who I thought had a good season before he got hurt. It's Jeremiah Farms. So you need to add to the interior defensive line, and we have heard Milton Williams' name for the last couple of weeks. All right, before I get truly started here, I do want to get to DK Metcalf. We got about 10 minutes before the legal tampering window opens. I want to get to DK Metcalf because we have some information about Metcalf and why he went to the Steelers and not the Patriots. I will get to that in a minute. But don't forget, I'm going to ask this a few times today, and depending on how long we go, I might ask more than a few. Don't forget to click that thumbs up button as you watch us on YouTube. That helps us with the algorithm. It helps us build the community. We had a big night last night. I want another big day today. Don't forget to click that thumbs up if you like what we do. If you hate watch, hate listen, I guess you can click the thumbs up too to help us out. So don't forget to click that thumbs up. That helps us. Don't forget to comment as things are rolling in. I want you guys and gals to let me know how you feel about each move. There are going to be moves. I'd be shocked if there's not multiple moves very early here for the Patriots. So I want your reaction I want your reaction in the comment section because liking and comments help us with the algorithm. And don't forget to subscribe. We are trying to get to 6,500 subscribers by draft night. We are about 370 away. We had some movement. Last night in subscriptions. So don't forget to subscribe. So like, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate every single one of you here today with me as we're going to break some news in 10 minutes. All right. We got some Harold Landry leftovers. We've got some DK Metcalf leftovers. Let's start with the Harold Landry leftovers. Mike Giardi wrote this about Landry. He reached out to one of his contacts with the Titans, and the first thing that his contact mentioned was that Arden Key was the better edge player for the team this year. Key statistically did not have the same type of counting season, but he was significantly more effective, according to Giardi's source down there in Tennessee. When you look at Arden Key's pass rush win rate, we talked about that last night with Landry, it being lower last year. Arden Key's pass rush win rate was 11.5%, which dwarfed that of Landry. Landry was 4.8%. Key was also better the year before under Vrabel, although at least Landry was more efficient. Landry's last season under Vrabel, he had a 10.3% pass rush win rate, which isn't, as bad as it was last year. And Giardi points out that Landry, of course, suffered an ACL injury in 2022, and he hasn't had the same explosiveness off the edge. So when you look at Landry, another interesting part, I discussed last night that Mike Vrabel is not necessarily, the biggest fan of containing the edge and is not really concerned as much as Belichick was and DeMarcus Covington was last year. Wasn't, as concerned about containing the edge and defending the run. But when you look at Landry actually had a really good season in 2024 when it comes to defending the run. And Taylor Kyles of CLNS posted this. Defensive snaps, he was fifth most. And when you look at run defensive grade, he had the fifth highest run defense grade at edge. He had the 10th shortest average depth of run tackle at edge. He had the sixth most run stops at defensive edge. And his missed tackle percentage was seventh lowest. So when you look at Landry and Jennings, if those are your starting defensive ends, I'd like to see if Jennings can get more pop in the pass rush with Vrabel and Williams. It's possible. You've got Jennings on one side. You've got Landry on the other. Both of those guys, very, very good against the run last year. And if Jennings gives you a little bit of pop in that pass rush, now you've got multi-dimensional defensive ends. You've got multi-dimensional edges, which will certainly help out this defense. So that's a note on Landry. Look, he's further removed from the ACL. I expect him to be better. With Vrabel and Williams than he was last year in Tennessee. And even if he's the same guy as he was last year, he's still an upgrade over somebody like Wise. So you still upgraded the roster on what you had, position of need, solid signing. I really like it. Really like the idea of Harold Landry. So we'll see what happens coming up in 7 minutes now from right now. Douglas McDonald asking me, why not X? Well, X has an outage, so that might change. It might not change. I don't know, but I ain't got the time to wait for it, Douglas. Twitter/X has been down twice today. Blue Sky is not down. That's where I'm getting info from. All right, let's get to DK Metcalf. What happened with DK Metcalf? Metcalf's call to not come to New England? Were the Patriots unwilling to do it? This is what Mike Giardi wrote about Metcalf last night. Why weren't the Patriots involved? According to Mike Giardi, the sense that he got speaking with the team source, the Patriots liked Metcalf, but they did not love Metcalf. And while the contract was what the Patriots expected, the Patriots were not keen on surrendering draft capital. So the Patriots did not want to trade that second round pick. They were not scared off by the contract. It was more the pick. And when you look at what's going on, with the DK Metcalf trade and why the Patriots might not be involved with that as much, Giardi also tweeted out or posted last night, the brass had questions about how Metcalf would fit into their locker room. So we have that, right? We were talking about that. Would DK Metcalf be a fit? Would he not be a fit? How concerned were the Patriots about the fit? So it was about fit. It was about draft pick. They liked Metcalf, did not love him. Phil Perry posted right before X went down that the Patriots did not even make an offer on Metcalf. So again, I would have made the offer. I would have made the trade, but I don't think it's a no-brainer. I don't think adding Metcalf is a no-brainer. He's had some issues, and I said this before. Again, I would trade for him, but there were questions. There were legitimate questions. He drops the football a lot. He's a very emotional guy. And, you know, how would they deal with Drake May and DK, and how would that relationship work? And if you're paying DK Metcalf as the richest man in the locker room, how would that impact the rest of the locker room? And don't get it twisted, that stuff does impact the locker room, because last year, Christian Barmore got his extension, and Devon Godchaux immediately was complaining about his contract. So there were questions about Metcalf. There were questions about Metcalf. I would have made the deal, but there were questions about Metcalf. I don't think it's a no-brainer. A second-round pick is pretty rich when you're paying a guy, you know, what they would have to pay him. So I didn't think it was a no-brainer, but I would have made the move. All right, we're 4 minutes away. We are 4 minutes away. Mark Daniels just tweeted out that we've got 5 minutes before this whole thing starts. Patriots plan on being aggressive. Ideal targets are Chris Godwin and Milton Williams. Look out for lots of movement on the offensive line this week. So Chris Godwin obviously has not signed with Tampa. So as of right now, as of 11:56, he's available. And you would imagine if Chris Godwin was going to sign with Tampa, that would have already been done. Now, I'm not telling you that Godwin's going to be a Patriot. I do think the Patriots are going to go hard after Chris Godwin. I think they have legitimate interest in Chris Godwin. I think Godwin would be a really good fit, but I wouldn't guarantee it. There are other teams that are going to be looking at Chris Godwin and willing to pay Chris Godwin. So as of right now, 3 minutes to go, Godwin has not re-signed with Tampa, which means he's hitting free agency. And is he hitting free agency because, he knows how much money he's going to make by hitting free agency, and he knows he can get more money than he can get in Tampa? I'd imagine the back channels have been very live over the past few days. I would have to imagine that Godwin understands how much money he's going to make from the Patriots if he says yes to a deal. So Godwin looks like he's going to be available. Milton Williams looks like he's going to be available. Those two guys, as Daniels just posted, have really been, the biggest names that have been thrown out there consistently for the Patriots. Some other guys we're looking at: Cam Robinson, offensive tackle. Obviously, we've talked about him. Dan Moore, offensive tackle. Jordan Schultz from Fox today said that Dan Moore could actually get as much as $20 million per year. That's a lot of money for Dan Moore. But Cam Robinson, Dan Moore, Jalen Moore is another name that we've discussed a little bit here. He's going to be a free agent. So those guys are going to hit free agency. Then you look at cornerback: Javarius Ward, Byron Murphy, Carlton Davis. All three of those guys have been mentioned as possible fits for the Patriots: Ward, Murphy, and Davis. And of course, linebacker, we've got Dre Greenlaw as somebody who's out there after Jamie Sherwood signed last night. We'll see what kind of pivot the Patriots might have to pull. Josh Gemini said Perry said no offer made for Metcalf. Got you, Josh, on that. I appreciate you. Thanks for chipping in, my man. Vitalix, the $5 super chat. Do you think they just view Landry as a finisher and plan on pushing the middle of the pocket more? Not like they broke the bank for him. Yes, Vitalix. Thank you for the $5 super chat. I do believe that's what they want. I do believe that they want, when you look at what Williams and Vrabel like, pushing that interior of the defensive line, creating that pressure up the middle, and then you've got two guys on the edge that can kind of clean up and get those sacks, and Harold Landry is one of those guys. So yes, Vitalix, I believe they want to get that pass rush up the middle. All right, we're a minute away. We are a minute away, and I'm waiting to see. I'm trying to pull up, see if Twitter/X is available. It is not available, so Twitter is still out. We're rolling with Blue Sky, and hopefully we get these updates fast and furious on Blue Sky. Again, Adam Schefter's not on Blue Sky, but I've got Ian Rappaport. I've got all the people I need to have. I'm following here on Blue Sky, so I should have up to the second news for you and info as it rolls in. As it rolls in, we should have news for you, and we'll see how busy this goes. And I'll be mentioning a lot of the signings across the league as well as they come in. I'm not just going to sit here and mention, Patriots guys. It's going to be mostly focused on the Patriots. But as bigger signings come up, especially guys that the Patriots are looking at or have been linked with, I will let you know if those guys go elsewhere. So we'll see what happens. It has begun. Again, it's probably going to go a little bit slower than usual because Twitter is a little bit faster and has more people on it. IV_213, please God, no. Godwin, bro's close to 30 and injury prone. Look, I get the questions about Godwin, but again, you're not going to find a flawless guy, right? You're not just everybody that you try to acquire is going to have some kind of flaw. Godwin's going to have flaws. It's just whether or not you are improving the football team. And if you sign somebody like Godwin, you are going to improve the football team. So I understand the hesitancy. I understand the issues, but we can't be picky, right? And that's why I would have traded for Metcalf. But, if the Patriots end up signing Chris Godwin, for example, then missing out on Metcalf, quote unquote, is not as big of a deal, does not have as big of an impact because you've got your lead receiver. So we have to see how the Patriots pivot here. If they weren't interested, if they did not offer anything for DK Metcalf, as Phil Perry is reporting, then they have to have a pivot in mind, right? They've got to understand the plan B. It is something that, when you read through the combine notes and what Elliott Wolf and Mike Vrabel have said, they talked about having a plan B, a plan C, a plan D, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, that's what we're looking at here. What kind of pivot? If they did not want Metcalf, what kind of pivot? Did they not get in on Metcalf because they know they have a legitimate shot at Chris Godwin? Did they not get in on Metcalf because they believe that Brandon Ayuk, they could get him for less? We'll have to wait and see as we wait and see the movement here. And again, as I mentioned, Twitter is down, so I've got Blue Sky up, and I'm waiting for the updates. Still nothing so far. We're 2 minutes in, and this is going to be part of the problem is Twitter being down. So we have to be patient, and we have to see what happens. Milton Williams is somebody, of course, that the Patriots have been very interested in. The fact that Milton Williams is kind of that great fit on the interior defensive line is going to be something to keep an eye on, of course. So we'll see what happens here as I flip through Blue Sky. Let me see. I don't know. All right, so Seth Walder was tweeting something about Hassan Reddick, but it's not about Hassan Reddick signing. It was something else. So we'll see what happens. I'm seeing Hassan Reddick to the Bucks. I don't know where that's going. There you go, Matt Miller. So Matt Miller just a moment ago says Hassan Reddick to the Buccaneers per Adam Schefter. Schefter does not have a Blue Sky account. So we're getting the news secondhand from ESPN's Matt Miller. So Hassan Reddick goes to Tampa Bay. And, Tampa obviously looking for pass rush help. Hassan Reddick had a tough year last year, wanted the new contract, got traded, wasn't happy getting traded to the Jets, got traded again, kind of a mess. So it was a little bit of a lost season for Hassan Reddick last year. He did play. I'm interested to see how much money Reddick gets from Tampa. I'm interested to see if Tampa ends up getting, Reddick on a 1-year deal. I'd have to imagine it's 1 or 2 years. I can't believe that they would go, above and beyond the 1 or 2 years. Maybe they feel like they have to go 3, possibly, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. But Hassan Reddick is a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. That is the first update that we have. Again, Adam Schefter and ESPN should have pivoted here. Should have pivoted. So I'm seeing this Zach. Again, I don't want to roll with stuff that I don't see officially from somebody, but I'm seeing people say that it's a 1-year deal for $14 million. So that would be good for Tampa Bay on that low type of 1-year deal. So that's good news. Again, we're sitting here on Blue Sky. We're not getting the information nearly as fast as we would get it on Twitter. There's going to be some tap dancing. We've got to wait until the news comes out. And, maybe I should pull a TV in. You know what? Maybe I can try to get Kelly to put the TV in here. Although you guys might see her, obviously. Jalen Moore. Here's one right now. So according to Adam Schefter, Jalen Moore signs with the Kansas City Chiefs. So Jalen Moore was somebody that the Patriots were interested in and played left tackle for the Niners last year when Trent Williams was down. Jalen Moore was his replacement. And Jalen Moore is somebody who, is a younger guy, has not played a ton of starting left tackle in the NFL, but people think that he's going to be, he could be one of those guys that has potential and, somebody who could be a starting left tackle for the next couple of years. The Chiefs obviously needed a left tackle. They played Joe Thuney at left tackle in the Super Bowl. That did not work out for them. They needed a left tackle. They were going to be in on Ronnie Stanley, reportedly. So they were supposed to be in on Ronnie Stanley. Ronnie Stanley decided to stay in Baltimore. So now Kansas City quickly pivots, and the pivot is to Jalen Moore of San Francisco. So Jalen Moore is off the board. There goes one left tackle. Obviously, Cam Robinson is still on the board. Dan Moore from Pittsburgh is still on the board. So Jalen Moore is off the board, goes to Kansas City. And this should also tell you that Kingsley Suamataia is obviously somebody that the Chiefs do not believe is capable of starting at left tackle. They saw enough of Suamataia last year. They're going out and they're getting Jalen Moore. Maybe Suamataia eventually moves to the right side for Kansas City. But Kansas City is obviously making a statement that Suamataia is not that guy right now. So for the people that wanted to draft Suamataia, and I was one of them last year, Kansas City's making a pretty big statement. By Kansas City saying thanks, but no thanks. Mike Giardi just tweeted, Patriots understand the realities of their situation. It's been bleak the last couple of years, and the Vrabel-May pairing is a positive step, but they still have to change perception about them league-wide. So that might tell me that the Patriots are not getting great news out of the gates here if Giardi's, posting something on Blue Sky about the Patriots understanding that they have to change the perception about them. I see people telling me that Twitter might be back up. I'm trying Twitter. Twitter's not working for me. So I keep pulling it up every couple of minutes. It's not coming up for me. So if you get Twitter, then you get Twitter before I get Twitter. So Jalen Moore to the Chiefs. So now you look at Cam Robinson. Now you look at Dan Moore. I think those are really the only two guys that you could look at and say would be needle movers. Jalen Moore, by the way, got a 2-year deal, and he has that upside. So you look at Jalen Moore, 2-year deal, and with the Kansas City Chiefs, and we'll see how he works out. Again, it's a potential thing. It's a potential thing with Jalen Moore. I don't know if it's going to be a situation where he steps in and is a legitimate starting left tackle at the NFL level. The other guy, of course, and I see Arthur bring this up, is Jedrick Wills. Jedrick Wills is somebody else. I talked about Jedrick Wills on my off-season plan. I think Jedrick Wills is somebody who could fit in if his attitude is right, if his knee is okay. He obviously played for Cleveland. He was drafted by Cleveland. Mike Vrabel was with Cleveland last year. So Chris Godwin, by the way, goes back to the Buccaneers. So obviously not what the Patriots want. So Chris Godwin goes to the Buccaneers, according to Ian Rappaport. 3 years, $66 million. It's a good deal for Godwin. Back to the Bucs, 3 years, $66 million. $44 million guaranteed at the signing. Now, of course, here's the question. How involved were the Patriots? I'd have to imagine the Patriots were very involved. They were very involved, I'd have to imagine, with Chris Godwin. And I'd have to imagine they offered Chris Godwin more than $20 million. Now, we need to find out the details. Is this another situation where, did the Patriots match the offer that Tampa offered to Godwin? The Patriots fell short last year with Calvin Ridley, right? They fell short by, I think it was $1 million. Patriots had $22 million on the table. Tennessee had $23 million. Patriots felt like it didn't matter. So, no matter how much money they offered, they thought Ridley was going to end up going to Tennessee, and that's what happened. So we need to find out the details. Did the Patriots offer the same amount of money to Godwin than Tampa did? Did they offer more money to Godwin than Tampa did? And Godwin said, you know what? I'm just going to stay. I'm just going to stay here. I'm just going to hang out, and I'm going to stay in Tampa because I've got Baker Mayfield. I've got Mike Evans. I've spent my entire career here, and the Buccaneers stepped up $22 million a year. That's a good contract. You look at the $44 million guaranteed. That's a very good contract for Chris Godwin. So we'll have to wait and see again what the wow, I'm getting a web server is returning an unknown error when I pull up Twitter. It is an absolute disaster for Twitter/X today. So we'll have to wait and see. But obviously, this hurts the Patriots. They wanted Godwin. He was at the top of their target list. We've been reading it the last couple of weeks. But I'm going to mention this, and I'm going to mention this several times today, okay? Several times today. I see clear your cookies. I'm afraid of clearing the cookies and doing this live show, everybody. It's a little bit difficult. It's a little bit difficult to clear the cookies and do all this when I'm hosting a live podcast. So I'm not going to clear the cookies. It's either going to pop up or it's not. I'm on Blue Sky. If Twitter comes back, y'all can let me know. I don't see Twitter up. We're going Blue Sky. We're getting updates. That's the last time I'm going to say it. If Twitter pops up, fantastic. Okay. But we're moving on. All right. So if I'm going to say this a few times today, again, free agency is not the answer to have sustained success. I've said this for the last 2 off seasons. It's not, it's not there to have sustained success. And it's difficult because you're not going to get everybody that you want. You're not going to get everybody that you want. By the way, Ian Rappaport on television apparently said that Chris Godwin turned down an offer that was worth $20 million more. So Ian Rappaport says that Chris Godwin had an offer on the table worth $20 million more. I don't know if that offer came from New England. I don't know if that offer came from the Patriots. And now I've got Twitter pack. So we got Twitter, we got Blue Sky, we're ready to roll. We're back. So I don't know if it was the Patriots that offered $20 million more. But if the Patriots offered $20 million more and Chris Godwin said thanks but no thanks, then I'm not really sure what you're supposed to do. I'm not really sure what you're supposed to do if you're the Patriots if they did offer $20 million more than Tampa Bay did. So it goes back to what I said. It's very difficult to sign free agents when you're coming off back-to-back 4-win seasons. It's very difficult to sign free agents when you live in Massachusetts, which is not a desirable area. You have to build this, and you build it, and when you start winning games, then that's when you can have some movement. That's when you can sign some of these guys. So we'll have to wait and see if the Patriots were the team that offered $20 million more than the Buccaneers did, and Godwin said thanks but no thanks. So we'll see. We'll see what the details are. I'd have to imagine the Patriots offered a lot of money. So I just think it's a very difficult situation because the Patriots They don't have a ton of money. I mean, they don't have they get to deal with a ton of taxes. And they have a team that has back-to-back 4-win seasons. You're trying to sell somebody on a team that just hasn't won. So you're going to have to, find guys that are willing to want to move here, play for a team that hasn't been good. You're going to have to deal with that. You're going to have to deal with the unfortunate reality that this has been a bad team. By the way, Jalen Moore gets a 2-year, $30 million deal. $30 million deal. $21 million guaranteed. So that's the contract for Jalen Moore. So it's a 2-year, $30 million deal, $15 million on the AAV, over $21 million. So I'm just going to say this one more time. By the way, according to Red Sox stats on Blue Sky, who's watching NFL Network, Rappaport, when he said that Godwin turned down $20 million more from another team, he went on to insinuate it was the Patriots, because apparently Rappaport said that the team that offered Godwin $20 million more is a team who are in on everyone. So if you take Rappaport's word, Patriots offered Chris Godwin, it sounds like they offered Chris Godwin $20 more million. Godwin said, thanks, but no thanks. I'm going to stay in Tampa. I'm going to get a good deal from Tampa. And I'm not interested in going to New England. So that's the reality of the situation. You have sucked the last 2 years. Your roster isn't good. You got to deal with this stuff. And that's why I've been saying it's going to start really with the draft. Free agency can help you. And the Patriots should get better this week. They got better last night by signing Harold Landry. I know it's not a landmark kind of deal, but they got better last night by signing Landry. The draft is where it starts. If you want to have sustained success in the NFL, you've got to draft well. And you've got to retain your talent. And that's what you're seeing. Look at all these guys that are staying where they've been. These teams are paying money to retain the talent. That's what they're doing. You have to draft well and then be able to retain that talent. And when you don't draft well, you don't retain the talent. So it all begins there. It all begins there, because you're not going to get people to sign on the dotted line when you're not good. When you're not a good football team. That's just how it works. Unfortunately for the Patriots, they don't have Tom Brady. They don't have Bill Belichick in his heyday. They don't have people that, you're looking at and say to yourself, if you're a free agent, I've got to go and I've got to play for those guys. All right, so now you look at wide receiver, okay? Now let's look at wide receiver, your options. Obviously, Brandon Ayuk is an option. I don't know what it would cost. To get Ayuk from San Francisco. I can't imagine it would cost a lot. Maybe it's a 4th-round pick. Maybe it's one of your 3rd-round picks. So you look at Brandon Ayuk as an option. Some of the other guys that you might look at, and I'm not saying these guys are number ones. Ayuk, if healthy, is a number one. The other receivers on the market, Joshua Palmer is somebody that I brought up as part of my plan. Again, my plan, I had planned on Godwin staying in Tampa, so this does not surprise me that he stayed in Tampa. So I had Joshua Palmer as somebody the Patriots could sign. Somebody else is Darius Slayton, obvious connections with Ryan Cowden. He was in New York with the Giants. Slayton has played his entire career in New York. So when you look at Slayton and Palmer, those are more like, 2 guys, right? Those are more number 2 guys. Ayuk is really the number 1 guy, again, if he's healthy, which is a big if. And the other option is that somehow, some way, Travis Hunter falls to 4. If Travis Hunter falls to 4, now you're talking about Travis Hunter being your lead receiver. So you got Travis Hunter. He could be your lead receiver. He's not your prototypical X, right? He's not the X big-bodied receiver on the outside, but he has the potential. He has the ceiling of somebody who could be a legitimate number 1 guy in the NFL. So really, you're looking at it. It comes down to, do you want to trade for Brandon Ayuk? Do you want to, hope and cross your fingers that Travis Hunter falls to you? you got to see how all of it comes together, right? By the way, Diana Rossini on Blue Sky just posted that Drew Dahlman, who is a center, former Falcon, he has agreed to a 3-year, $42 million deal with $28 million guaranteed with Chicago. So Chicago, the Bears continue to build up that offensive line, and they've done a ton of work. They've done a ton of work on the offensive line. Chicago is doing, I think, what a lot of Patriots fans want the Patriots to do. They traded for Joe Thuney. They traded for Jonah Jackson. They have now signed Dahlman. So that interior of the offensive line for Chicago is in really good shape for at least the next year or two. Obviously, Thuney's a little long in the tooth, as we know, but at least for the next year or two, your offensive line on the interior should be really good for, Caleb Williams and company. So it looks like we've got Mike Giardi posting the Patriots have interest in the center position, but the most valued one's off the board. So the Patriots are interested at center. I know Zolak said on Beetle and Zoe that David Andrews could get released this week. We've obviously heard that center is one of the priorities. It looks like X is down once again. What a disaster. So it looks like Chicago has addressed their offensive line needs in a big, big way. And we'll see if the Patriots can start addressing their offensive line needs. I saw in the comment section the idea of T. Higgins at wide receiver. Look, I would not want to completely write off. I would not completely write off T. Higgins as a possibility. I don't think it's likely. I especially don't think it's likely. When you look at Cincinnati probably moving on from Trey Hendrickson, them trading Hendrickson obviously leads us to the thought that, hey, they're going to keep Higgins and Chase, and they're going to pay him as much as they can. Now, I will say, it's a great line by Joey Batts. Twitter is basically the Patriots offseason. I will say that, I think it got tougher for Cincinnati to bring back both Chase and Higgins and make them both happy with the Myles Garrett contract, because Cincinnati, has said that they want to make Jamar Chase the highest paid non-quarterback in the league. And so when Myles Garrett gets that contract for $40 million per, well, that means if you want to make Jamar Chase the richest player in the league that's not a quarterback, you're going to have to pay Jamar Chase $42, $44, $45 million a year. If you're going to pay Jamar Chase that much money and you have T. Higgins and you want to pay T. Higgins and T. Higgins is unhappy and you've got to pay T. Higgins now with the DK Metcalf contract, because now Higgins can look at Metcalf and Higgins can say, look, I'm worth it. I'm worth more than DK Metcalf. I've done more at times than DK Metcalf has done on a football field. So, I want that DK Metcalf money. Give me $33, $34 million a year. Is Cincinnati really going to end up paying Jamar Chase $42 million a year and T. Higgins $33, $34 million a year? So that Myles Garrett contract, I do think, impacts Cincinnati's business. I still think it's unlikely that the Patriots would end up with Higgins, but I don't think it's crazy to imagine a world where Cincinnati says, this is way too much. This is way too much money to pay Chase, way too much money to pay Higgins. We can't pay them both. We thought we were going to be able to do that. We can't do that. And so now we're going to move on. We're going to trade Higgins. We're going to get a pick, and we're going to try to address the wide receiver position. We're going to try to address that wide receiver position in the draft, or we're happy with Chase and what is it? Yoshavis, whatever the hell his name is. So it is possible that Cincinnati says, we just got to move on. We just got to move on from Higgins because the cost is it's way too high. We'll see how that unfolds. The unfortunate part is you have to wait. You've got to wait until July, because if Cincinnati wants to draw the hard line and they want to try to keep Higgins and Chase, and they're going to legitimately do everything that they can do to keep both of those guys in Cincy, then when you look at it, they might take it all the way to July until a decision on that franchise tag has to be made. All right, as we wait for more news rolling in, as Twitter falls apart once again, absolutely brutal day for Twitter to be a disaster, but it is a disaster. We got to deal with what we got to deal with. Drew Dahlman goes to Chicago, 3 years, $42 million deal. So you've got the top center on the market going to the Chicago Bears. You have Chris Godwin staying in Tampa Bay. This is a huge hit for the Patriots. Chris Godwin signs a 3-year deal, $66 million. $44 million of that is guaranteed. It sounds like Ian Rappaport, even though he won't say the Patriots, I don't know why he won't say the Patriots, but it sounds like the Patriots offered Chris Godwin $20 more million than Tampa offered Chris Godwin, but Godwin said thanks, but no thanks. I want to stay in Tampa. So it sounds like the Patriots were willing to overpay Chris Godwin by a significant amount, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter. In other news, Jalen Moore signs with the Kansas City Chiefs. It is a 2-year, $30 million deal. Jalen Moore, left tackle, subbed in for Trent Williams last year in San Francisco. And he is somebody that is seen as, he is somebody that is seen as a potential starting left tackle for the next couple of years. He hasn't done it full time, so we'll see if that works out for Kansas City. But Kansas City was desperate at left tackle. And so it makes a lot of sense for Jalen Moore to head over to Kansas City. He's going to get that opportunity to start. And Kansas City obviously felt better about Jalen Moore than they felt about Cam Robinson. They felt about Dan Moore. So that's the news as of right now. And I'm sure that everybody is steaming. Everybody is steaming that they can't get on X. And Adam Schefter is probably very, very upset at this. And it's been a disaster. It's been a disaster. So, again, Rappaport saying Chris Godwin left $20 million on the table because he wanted to stay in Tampa Bay. Let's get to a super chat here. $2 super chat from Derek. At a minimum, they need to address offensive tackle. Yes, Derek, they absolutely need to address offensive tackle. They've got to address left tackle. We all agree on that. It does remind me, though, of one thing. And I know some people are going to take this as some, weird defense of Elliott Wolf. That's not what I'm doing here. And thank you for the $2 super chat, Derek. And by the way, Braxton Berrios goes to the Texans, 1-year deal, $2 million. I heard a lot of people complaining and crying and screaming about, the Patriots did not do enough to address the offensive line last offseason. And I tried to explain to people, and people thought that I was just defending Elliott Wolf for some weird reason. I tried to let people know that, look, free agency isn't the end all be all, and it's really difficult. But also, free agency last year, guess what? It wasn't good. Free agency last year, okay, at the tackle position was worse. It was worse at the tackle position than it has been this year. It was much worse than this year's tackles. Much, much worse. So somebody told me that Schefter is on Instagram, and I'm on Instagram here, but these Instagram posts are a little bit of a pain in the ass, but I'm trying to do what I can do, folks. It's not my fault that Twitter decided to suck today. So to get back to my point, people were going crazy last year about the Patriots didn't address the offensive line. They didn't do enough to address the offensive line. And I kept saying to people, and people thought this was a weird defense of Elliott Wolf when it wasn't. It was just the reality of the situation. Guess what? There wasn't a lot. There wasn't a lot on the market. Tyron Smith was the best tackle on the market. He didn't want to come here. That was reported last week. He did not want to be here. Same situation. By the way, B.J. Hill goes back to the Bengals, 3 years, $33 million. So B.J. Hill back to the Cincinnati Bengals. That's according to Field Yates, big defensive tackle. So a name off the defensive tackle market. So you didn't have a lot of options last year. You just didn't. That's the fact. That's the truth. That's the honest assessment of last year's free agency class. You just did not have a ton. Amstel says Washington did well. Yes, Washington did a good job of rebuilding their offensive line. They rebuilt the interior of the offensive line. Now, the Patriots had Michael Wenu, the right tackle, right guard thing, whatever the hell. And, I would also say that what's interesting to me about Washington is the Commanders were reportedly going to be in on heavy Ronnie Stanley. So if the Commanders were going to be in on Ronnie Stanley, that tells me the Commanders are not necessarily super confident that Brandon Coleman is the long-term solution at left tackle. Because if they felt like Coleman was the long-term solution at left tackle, they would not sign Ronnie Stanley for a bunch of money because their left tackle solution would already be there. But again, you've got limited answers. You've got limited answers on the free agency market. You do. And that's a fact. And so, you look at this year's tackle class, it's better. I'd say it's much better than last year. But what I love is, some of the people that were going crazy last year and said, man, the Patriots did not do enough in free agency to address their offensive line. Those same people are now yelling and screaming about how bad free agency is. You can't have it both ways. You can't have it both ways because it just makes no sense. But some people will do that because they just want to yell and scream. That's what they want to do. It's unfortunate, but it's the truth. So Adam Schefter is on Instagram. I would not say that he's necessarily being super active. So we'll see. Again, this is what happens. This is what happens when you rely on one single method to break news in 2025. Everybody relies on Twitter, and they're all losing their minds because they haven't figured out Blue Sky or didn't want to figure out Blue Sky, and they thought they had it all solved with Twitter. So Adam Schefter says that the Patriots went after Chris Godwin very, very hard. So again, when you look at Chris Godwin, it's pretty clear. It's pretty clear that the Patriots wanted Chris Godwin. They were interested in Chris Godwin. They offered Chris Godwin a ton of money, and Chris Godwin said, "Thank you, but no thank you." The tough reality of free agency when you have a sucky team. Jonathan Jones, the Commanders have agreed to terms with Javon Kinlaw. So Javon Kinlaw is now a member of the Commanders. Of course, the Commanders said goodbye to Jonathan Allen. So it looks like this is the replacement for Jonathan Allen, Javon Kinlaw. Talented guy, has a lot of talent. Did not have the career that he hoped that he would have in San Francisco. He's a big athletic dude, defensive tackle. So it looks like Javon Kinlaw is headed to Washington. All right, so I've got Schefter on Threads. I've got Blue Sky up, and I'm trying to continue to refresh Twitter. The absolute worst possibilities. All right, we got Twitter back up. Javon Kinlaw's deal, by the way, 3 years, $45 million, $30 million guaranteed. So that's a pretty hefty deal for Javon Kinlaw going to Washington. So they pay a pretty heavy rate. If Kinlaw's getting $15 million a year, then that means the Milton Williams market is going to be pretty heavy, which is expected, but it might be heavier than people thought it would be. So interesting market. Kinlaw goes 3 years, $45 million. B.J. Hill, another defensive tackle, goes 3 years, $33 million. So B.J. Hill worth $11 million AAV. Kinlaw worth $15 million AAV, and now we'll see. Now we'll see what Milton Williams ends up getting. And by the way, I think the Kinlaw contract it's really heavy. Really, really heavy. I would not pay Javon Kinlaw $15 million a year, but that's just me. That's just me. All right, so let's recap for the Patriots. Nothing for the Patriots so far. Harold Landry last night, obviously, with the contract. They re-signed Austin Hooper. They've lost out on Ronnie Stanley over the weekend. Stanley stays in Baltimore, 3 years, $60 million deal. Then you look at the situation with Chris Godwin today. Chris Godwin decides to stay in Tampa, even though the Patriots reportedly offered upwards of $20 million more to Godwin. Godwin wanted to stay, and Tampa did not want to, come play up here in New England. So they lost out on Godwin. There are still a lot of names out there. Cam Robinson has not found a home yet. Dan Moore has not found a home yet. A lot of the guys that the Patriots were linked to haven't found homes yet. Milton Williams, Cam Robinson, Dan Moore, Travarius Ward, Byron Murphy, Carlton Davis, Dre Greenlaw, and others, I'm sure. It really is astounding, by the way. Benjamin Solak of ESPN just posted on Blue Sky that Javon Kinlaw is making more money than Cam Hayward. That's bananas. That's absolutely bananas. That's the market. So still several guys that the Patriots have been linked to are still out there. I don't know. I don't know how much the information is getting impacted by the social media situation, because things are not going as fast as a lot of people thought they would be going. We're more than 35 minutes into the legal tampering period, and we've had a handful of signings reported. I'm going to guess that the social media situation has a lot to do with that. So we've got Drew Dahlman to the Bears. We've got Kinlaw to the Commanders. We've got Barrios to the Texans. We've got Godwin staying in Tampa. We've got Jalen Moore going to Kansas City to be their left tackle. So I just have to imagine, and Twitter's down again. I mean, this is just a mess. I've got to imagine that social media, X, Twitter, is absolutely destroying the news cycle right now. If you think about it, it's kind of scary. It's kind of scary how much people are so just inherently linked with Twitter. They could just go to Blue Sky and start posting stuff. Not against the law, folks. It's not against the law. Use the social media avenues that you have at your disposal, but apparently they're not. So here's the thing I would say about the Patriots so far. So when you look at what they're trying to do, it's obvious that they have. It's rather obvious that they have targeted certain guys and that they're willing to pay. I don't think this is they're not willing to pay, right? I don't think this is they're not willing to pay. They don't want to pay at the top of the market. If they offered Chris Godwin $20 million more than Tampa, then we can't sit here and say that they weren't willing to pay. They were willing to pay. They're just dealing with a sucky team and a sucky roster. And these guys are going to look at it and say, why do I want to leave Tampa? Why do I want to leave where I have been for a team that won 4 games last year? Like, you're just starting to build a culture under your new coach, right? So it's a tough sell. All right. Before we continue and we wait for more news, don't forget, click that like button, click that thumbs up. I do wish I had a co-host today. A little bit easier to go back and forth when social media is down and it's a disaster, to go back and forth instead of trying to hold this conversation solo. Doing my best for all of you. Hopefully things get ironed out eventually and people start reporting the news. But don't forget to click that thumbs up. Give us a like. Don't forget to throw a comment in as well. Comments and likes help the algorithm, helps drive the algorithm. So don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, and of course, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe. Trying to hit 6,500 subscriptions by draft night. Andrew Callahan just posted on Blue Sky. No Chris Godwin, no Ronnie Stanley. The Patriots are already being forced to begin pivoting to Plan B at the top of their free agent board. They need Milton Williams to prevent any further slide to Plan C. So yes, Milton Williams is obviously the biggest name that's out there that the Patriots have been linked with, that is still on the market. Defensive tackle for the Eagles. We know how Mike Vrabel feels, the defensive tackle. All right, let's pull up some of these chats. Val, David Andrews, injured, not sure he wants to play anymore. I think he wants to play. He's gone on record that he wants to play. He's gone on record saying that he's a big fan of Drake May. But I don't know if the Patriots feel comfortable with David Andrews playing this year. I don't know. But it does sound like Scott Zolak said that sounds like he might be released. And, of course, we had reports from Andrew Callahan and Doug Kye that the Patriots were going to be active in the center market. So they brought back Ben Brown. Jake Andrews, of course, who they drafted a couple of years ago, had a season-ending injury last year. So, how do they feel about Jake Andrews? Is he going to be able to stay healthy? All right, so we got one. The Patriots are signing Robert Spillane, former Raider linebacker. So Robert Spillane is the first Patriot signing today that we've received. Again, Ian Rappaport reporting that the Patriots are signing Robert Spillane, linebacker from the Raiders. So Spillane is the first guy that the Patriots are bringing in. Now, Spillane, Bill Barnwell wrote about Spillane recently, and here's what he wrote about Spillane. Spillane has looked capable of being an every down linebacker. He had 17 tackles for loss over the past 2 seasons. Spillane is somebody that Phil Perry has talked about, I do believe. And, when you look at what Robert Spillane can do, let's pull up some of his stats and his frame, how big of a guy he is. So he's 6'1", 229. So, we've talked about this idea of the Patriots getting lighter when it comes to we've talked about the Patriots getting lighter at linebacker, right? This idea that Mike Vrabel doesn't like playing big, muscular, heavy kind of, 245, 250 type linebacker. That's not necessarily what Mike Vrabel likes. It's not the profile, right? It's not the profile that he looks for. So when you look at Spillane, he fits the mold. He fits the mold of a Mike Vrabel linebacker, right? 6'1", 229, athletic. Somebody who, again, has been a little bit under the radar, but people in the NFL, they like him, and they feel like he has a lot of potential, and they feel like he could be better than, what he has shown from time to time with the Raiders. So Robert Spillane, he's a good football player. He's a good linebacker. I think it absolutely helps the Patriots to get more athletic on the second level. Obviously, they wanted Jamie Sherwood. The Patriots wanted Sherwood. Sherwood stayed with the Jets. So Spillane seems like Plan B. Spillane seems like Plan B for the Patriots. And Mike Giardi just tweeted this, or posted this on Blue Sky, listed Spillane as, sorry, it jumped on me, listed Spillane as an excellent fit for the style of defense the Patriots want to play. So exactly what I just shared with all of you. Spillane is that more athletic linebacker. He's had some injury issues, but when he's played well. He's played well. He gets downhill. He also, Evan Lazar just posted, he's a good interior blitzer. He plays fast, folks. He plays fast. So the Patriots have added athleticism. The Patriots have added athleticism at the second level. Andrew Callahan, 2-year starter in Vegas. Here's what Callahan has to say about Spillane. 2-year starter in Vegas. He had 158 tackles, 2 picks, 2 sacks, 7 pass breakups. He obviously played under Vrabel in Tennessee in 2018. He entered the league as a UDFA, so there's that link again, right? Let's think about the guys that have been brought in. Harold Landry, linked with Mike Vrabel and Terrell Williams, right? Austin Hooper, linked with Mike Vrabel from his time in Tennessee. Robert Spillane, linked with Vrabel from 2018. And this is what you're going to see. You're going to see the Patriots sign guys that they have connections with from this staff. By the way, according to Jerry Dulac in Pittsburgh, Aaron Rodgers is getting close to signing a deal with the Steelers. So we'll keep an eye on that. But it sounds like Rodgers, according to Pittsburgh reports, Aaron Rodgers is getting close to signing with the Steelers. And that would be good for the Patriots. I'll explain why in a minute. DVOA. Okay, so Robert Spillane, I really like the signing. He's exactly what I want on the second level. He is an athletic linebacker. He can fly to the football. You can use him as a blitzer with some inside pass rush. He fits the mold. He fits the mold of what Mike Vrabel likes at linebacker. I really like the Robert Spillane signing. Again, it's not a super sexy name, but I really like it. I really like the signing. A little bit more on Spillane. You know, I talk about DVOA. Throughout the season when I preview games, when I react to games. Aaron Schatz is the guy who came up with DVOA. Here's what Aaron Schatz just posted on Blue Sky about Spillane. Spillane is surprisingly good in his coverage DVOA last year. So Schatz says, Robert Spillane, good player. So the Patriots, I think, landed a good football player in Spillane. The Rams bringing back Jimmy Garoppolo. 1-year deal. That's according to Mike Garafolo. So Garoppolo goes back to the Rams. He signs for 1 year, $11 million. So $11 million for Jimmy Garoppolo. All right, so we got Spillane, we got Landry, and we got Hooper so far. Again, none of these are sexy, okay? None of these are sexy. But they're good football players. And they fit the defense. They fit what Vrabel's going to want to do. So you're looking at an athletic second level. And if anybody has listened to me, I've said for a while now, the Patriots need to get athletic on the second level. All right. So Matt Miller reports via Jeremy Fowler, the Patriots signed Robert Spillane to a 3-year, $37 million contract. So 3 years, $37 million. So it's about $12 million on the AAV. Let me pull up. I want to pull up market value here. I want to pull up the market value on Spotrac. So as we see these signings, we'll see what Spotrac had Spillane at. But obviously, when you look at Jamie Sherwood, who got $15 million per, it would make some sense, right? Jamie Sherwood got $15 million per, and you've got Spillane getting $12 million per, right? Yeah, $12.3 million per. So not gigantic money. Not gigantic money by any means. Trying to look at market values here. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull it up for some reason. It is what it is. Could have an easier day online today. I'm going to be honest with all of you. Twitter being down. All right, so let's talk about let's talk about what the Patriots have done so far, okay? Harold Landry, Spillane. Athletic. They play fast. You're starting to see it, right? You're starting to see the vision. This Patriots defense has been slow. It has been, not necessarily aggressive aside from blitzing when they've had to try to get to the quarterback. And when you bring Spillane in and you bring Landry in, you have two guys, and Landry does not have the same athleticism. We talked about it earlier. He does not have the same kind of athleticism that he had, going back a couple of years ago before he tore an ACL. But he's much more athletic than Dietrich Wise, okay? He's much more athletic than Wise. And Spillane is much more athletic than any linebacker that you have currently on this roster. So we're starting to see the speed. We're starting to see the, aggressiveness. By the way, Mark Daniels says it's 3 years, $30 million for Spillane. Giardi says it's 3 years for $37 million. Not sure of the guarantees just yet. So, that's good to know. It's good to know. All right, let me see. I've got the I finally was able to pull up the market value stuff at Spotrac, and hopefully we can see what Spillane's market value was. All right, so according to Spotrac's market value, Spillane's market value was $10.5 million. So they had his market value pegged as 2 years, $20.78 million. The Patriots get Spillane for 3 years and $37 million. So they overpaid maybe by $1.5 million. But let's see what Jamien Sherwood was seen as. Unless they already took him off the board, which they might have. But so according to Spotrac, it's not some massive overpay for Spillane. They had Spillane at $10.5 million. The Patriots are going to pay him just over $12 million a year. So not an overpay. Not an overpay for Spillane. Seems like they hit it pretty much on the nail. So a good signing. A good signing by the Patriots. Again, I know that people aren't going to be doing jumping jacks, right? I know they're not going to be doing jumping jacks about the addition of Robert Spillane, and people are going to be angry that, Chris Godwin stayed in Tampa. But you sign the guys that you can sign. And so Spillane gets that deal. Mike Reese has the numbers as 3 years, $37.5 million. So about $37 million for 3 years. Again, about $12 million a year, $12.5 million a year. So not some drastic, crazy overpay. Twitter's back. We'll see if Twitter stays back. It's been that kind of day. Benjamin Solak, by the way. Benjamin Solak, who is one of those analytic guys for ESPN. He just posted about Spillane. Spillane is a solid player. Very curious to see how the new staff would address the linebacker position. Really wonder who ends up the odd man out there. And he talks about Bentley and Tavai being very Belichickian. And yes, I mean, I would imagine that Tavai, I'd be very surprised if Tavai lasts, right? It'd be very surprising if Jelani Tavai is on this football team within the next couple of months. I would not be surprised if Tavai is traded for a pick. I'd take a drink of water. I would not be surprised if Jelani Tavai is gone. Juwan Bentley, I think, is more likely to stay because Juwan Bentley's leadership, right? His production when he's been on the field, he flies to the football. He's not a fast, supreme athlete, but he does fly downhill. He brings that, he brings that downhill stick ability, as they say. So with Robert Spillane in town, I would think the next move would be Jelani Tavai out. That's what I would imagine. By the way, Spillane, the last 2 years, last year he had 158 tackles. In 2023, he had 148 tackles. So this guy is a highly productive, get after it downhill type linebacker who, has much more athleticism than we're used to. And so I would imagine that Tavai is going to be out. And I would help Tavai pack, quite honestly. After last year and what he said and how he handled that locker room and how he handled the media, I would be moving the hell on from Jahlani Tavai. By the way, this should also be brought up. I mentioned the connection with Spillane and Mike Vrabel. Of course, Spillane has a connection with Josh McDaniels. As Burt Breer tweeted out, Robert Spillane was a captain. He was a captain for McDaniels when McDaniels was in Vegas. So not only do you have the connection with Vrabel, you have the connection with Josh McDaniels. But you're getting faster, you're getting more athletic, you're getting more aggressive on the defensive side of the football. So that to me is great news. Twitter being down again is not great news. They apparently have some major issues as they continue to poop their pants today. So the Buccaneers so far, let's talk about the Bucs. So the Buccaneers have kept Chris Godwin. They signed Javon Kinlaw. I think the Kinlaw signing is fascinating. I would not have paid him that money, but it's a fascinating deal. And obviously they're being pretty damn busy, right? Let's jump to a couple of super chats. Donnie, how about just jumping up to grab Hunter? Interesting. I don't know how much it would cost. Maybe it would cost you the 2. Would you be willing to trade the 2 to move up to draft Hunter? I'd be patient. Field Yates said on Friday night that there's a real chance that Hunter falls to 4. I'd wait and see. William Sprague, sorry, Nick, wish I was there to help you out. Thank you, William. Hopefully people are enjoying this nonstop stream. I see we're up to over 500 people watching live, which is a great number. Let's get that number built up. Let's not forget to click that thumbs up as you watch on YouTube. Help us with the algorithm. Don't forget to comment. Robert Spillane, I really like the signing. I'm a fan of the Spillane signing. I like the Harold Landry signing, and I like the re-signing of Austin Hooper. And I understand these are not the gigantic, huge, sexy names that are going to change the landscape dramatically of your football team. But you are getting guys that fit the Vrabel profile. You are bringing in legitimate football players. Harold Landry is a legitimate NFL pass rusher, a legitimate edge who actually did the best of his career against the run last season. You also have somebody like Robert Spillane, who's been highly productive, fits the profile, is a legitimate NFL player. So Austin Hooper, somebody who has helped Drake May a year ago, and somebody who is a legitimate NFL tight end. So again, I know that they're not these huge signings like Milton Williams, who's still on the board. And I know that it sucks that Chris Godwin decided to stay in Tampa, but they're signing players. They've signed some good players the last 18 hours. Josh Gemini jumps in. I know you can't force free agents to come here, but how could Wolf and Vrabel have been so confident they were getting Godwin when they could have gotten Metcalf if they were willing to pay stupid money? Look, Josh, I agree with you. And I would have been, by the way, Paulson Adebo, who somebody called me about yesterday on 98.5, has signed with the Giants. So Adebo goes to the New York Giants. I would have went for Metcalf. I would have traded for Metcalf. The Patriots were out on Metcalf. They liked him. They didn't love him. So that's how they didn't go for him. They don't like the fit. They didn't love the fit. I don't know if they love the personality, the approach, and they didn't want to give up the second-round pick. And, Mike Vrabel and company might be looking at this and saying, this is year 1 of our rebuild. And I know people don't want to hear that, and I'm as frustrated as you are. I'm tired of watching bad football. But Mike Vrabel and Stretch and Ryan Cowden, they had nothing to do with what happened the last couple of years. They're coming in with fresh eyes. And obviously, they did not think highly enough of DK Metcalf to deal a second-round pick and give him the contract that he got from Pittsburgh. I would have made the deal. I might have egg on my face. DK Metcalf might end up not being great for Pittsburgh, right? So that's the decision. I don't think that they said no to DK because they were putting all their eggs in the Chris Godwin basket. I don't think that's the case. Maybe it is the case. All right, so this is a disaster for the Patriots. Milton Williams finalizing a deal with the Carolina Panthers. Now that sucks. Because Carolina is not much better than you are. Carolina has Bryce Young at quarterback. You have Drake May. So Milton Williams is going to Carolina. We'll see what that contract is, but that is yet another big blow. So the top targets for the Patriots, Ronnie Stanley stays in Baltimore. Chris Godwin stays in Tampa. I feel a little bit better about those guys staying because they decided to stay where they were. But the fact that Milton Williams left Philadelphia and ends up going to Carolina, that is absolutely a kick to the groin. That is brutal. So the Patriots do not get the defensive tackle that they were hoping to get. They did not get the wide receiver they were hoping to get. They did not get the left tackle that they were hoping to get. 0 for 3. Dan Moore is not going to be a New England Patriot. Dan Moore gets a 4-year, $82 million deal with the Titans. I got to be honest. I would not have loved Dan Moore for more than $20 million a year. I would not have loved that. But sometimes you got to pay, right? Sometimes you got to pay. And this is why you cannot depend on free agency. And this is why it's a tough job, no matter who you are in that front office, running shop, whether it's Mike Vrabel or Elliott Wolf or whoever the hell it is, right? And right now it's Mike Vrabel. But the fact is, again, you do not have a desirable place. And the Milton Williams thing to Carolina is the worst. That's the worst. Milton Williams going to the Panthers is the worst so far. Stanley stayed in Baltimore. Godwin stayed in Tampa. Baltimore is a perennial winner, right? They don't win championships, but they get to the playoffs every year. So you can certainly understand Ronnie Stanley saying, I'm staying in Baltimore. It's where I've played my entire career. I'm getting a good contract. We're going to win. I have no reason to leave this place. You can understand that. You can understand Chris Godwin saying, I want to stay in Tampa. I have a relationship with Mike Evans. I have a relationship with Baker Mayfield. We've made the playoffs the last 2 years with Baker at quarterback. It's Florida. Great place to live. The tax situation. You can understand that. But losing Milton Williams to the Carolina Panthers is rough. It is rough. It doesn't get any rougher than that. Because Carolina is in the same situation that you are in. Carolina has not been a very good football team. Carolina has an unknown at the head coach position. I mean, we could sit there and feel better about Dave Canales with how Carolina finished their season. But still, you know, when you look at Carolina, that's tough to swallow. That's tough to swallow. To lose Milton Williams to Carolina, to me, is the most brutal part of free agency so far. The most brutal part of free agency. Because he was a guy that could have made a difference. He was a guy that was priority number one on the defensive side of the football. And for him, going to Carolina is dreadful. Absolutely dreadful. By the way, I do want to mention this. You know, we talked about Dan Moore getting more than $20 million. Bill Barnwell just brought up a great point. Dan Moore is going to make more money than Ronnie Stanley. That's insane. That's insane. So just get ready. Just get ready for Cam Robinson making like, I don't know how much money. But Dan Moore making more money than Ronnie Stanley is certifiable. That's certifiable. Man, oh man. Brutal. Vitalix. $10 super chat. Read somewhere that people in the building were worried about a veteran alpha like DK being more willing to confront May about not getting the ball, which is bad for May's development. Yeah. I saw that. I believe Phil Perry mentioned that as a possibility, that there could be some concern about how DK is very vocal and he's somewhat standoffish. We know he's emotional. And there was some concern about how DK would impact Drake May, how that relationship would go. So, obviously, you don't know. You obviously have no idea until, you actually bring him onto the team. And again, I would have been after Metcalf. And now when you look at it, the fact that you don't get Chris Godwin, you don't really have an answer right now at wide receiver 1. Tough. Brutal. Lots of offseason left. There's lots of offseason left. I mean, this is the first day of free agency. There's a ton. There's a ton of time left here. But how can you be confident at all given the last couple of off seasons? How can you be confident at all given this situation right now? And people just don't want to sign at the top of the market here in New England. S27, we need to cut state taxes and build the dome. Well, DK went to Pittsburgh. So, it's not the end of the world, the weather situation. I like what the Patriots have done. I do. I like what the Patriots have done. But there's no way that you can sit back and look at Milton Williams going to Carolina and not feel like you were kicked in the gut. You have to feel like you were kicked in the gut. And, again, there's a lot of time left in free agency. There's a lot of time left in this offseason. But when you lose out on every single one of your top targets, it's not what you're looking. It's not what you're looking for. It's not what you're looking for whatsoever. So, tough. 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 I want to see the Dan Moore contract, by the way, if I can pull it up. Boy, I wanted to see what the contract projection was for Dan Moore. I want to see it. People are telling me Carlton Davis to the Patriots. Yes, indeed. Carlton Davis to the Patriots. According to Ian Rappaport. So Rappaport says Carlton Davis to the Patriots. It's 3 years, $60 million with $34.5 million guaranteed. 3 years, $60 million for Carlton Davis. So Carlton Davis is a New England Patriot. Let's talk about Carlton Davis. Let's jump on that right now. Started 13 games last year for the Lions before he broke his jaw. He can play man. He can play zone. He is the one thing about Carlton Davis is he is a damn good tackler. He is a damn good tackler downhill. He will play the run. He's very good against the pass, but he will play the run. He will attack the edge. He is, again, I know this is going to sound the same old, but he's a Mike Vrabel cornerback. He's a Mike Vrabel type cornerback, right? He's physical. He tackles. He's not afraid to tackle. Obviously, as we've said, connections. Carlton Davis has a connection with who? Terrell Williams. Terrell Williams was in Detroit last year. Carlton Davis in Detroit last year. In 7 seasons, he has 11 interceptions, 68 pass breakups. I believe he was ranked as the 16th best free agent by ESPN. So he was a top 20 free agent, according to ESPN. And this is a really, really good signing, folks. This is a really good signing. And, all right, I have a couple of thoughts. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep rolling because now I'm getting a little bit of energy. Robert Spillane is a Patriot. Carlton Davis is a Patriot. Patriots fans should be very happy with Carlton Davis. I think you should be very happy with Robert Spillane too, but you should be very happy with Carlton Davis. Here's what Pro Football Focus wrote about Carlton Davis. After being traded by the Bucs to the Lions, Davis proved to be exactly what Detroit had hoped. He had a 72.1 Pro Football Focus coverage grade, which was the best among starting Lions outside cornerbacks. He had the best season coverage-wise. He had the best season coverage-wise since 2021 in his career. His run defense grade was 77.7. He had a positive grade on 6.6% of his run snaps, which was the 8th best clip among qualified cornerbacks. So again, Carlton Davis is very physical. He can play man. He can play zone. Very good against the run. And when you look at Carlton Davis, you have now Christian Gonzalez on one side and Carlton Davis on the other. You have 2 legitimate cornerbacks. You have one of the best cornerbacks, one of the best young cornerbacks in football, in Christian Gonzalez. And now you have Carlton Davis on the other side. And again, Davis is a guy that can play man and he can play zone. He's somebody who is, he can play, Evan Lazar just posted this on Blue Sky. He can play physical press man coverage. And I said this yesterday on 98.5. If you join me. And by the way, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We're almost 90 minutes deep into this thing. I'm not slowing down. I had breakfast earlier. Probably get hungry in a little while, but I am not slowing down. Christian Gonzalez, Carlton Davis, 1-2 punch on the outside. 1-2 punch on the outside at cornerback. I mean, that's a really, really, really good cornerback combo. And I said this yesterday on 98.5 The Sports Hub. If any of you listened to me on 98.5 yesterday, I mentioned this. I said, when you look at free agency, when you look at free agency, the depth of talent is on the defensive side of the football. Frankly, on the offense, there wasn't much. There was Chris Godwin, right? There was Chris Godwin at wide receiver. There was Cam Robinson, Dan Moore, Jalen Moore at tackle, and that was pretty much it. By the way, Mike Giardi says that Carlton Davis is getting $34.5 million in guarantees. Spotrac is so fast. I think that Davis was seen as a guy who would get about $15 million a year. So, this is more money than people thought that he would get. But I'm not complaining. Because if the Patriots have to overpay, if people complain about the Patriots not willing to pay money, and then when you give $20 million a year to Carlton Davis, which is going to be seen as an overpay, I don't want to hear people complaining. I don't want to hear people complaining about, oh my God, they paid $20 million a year for Carlton Davis. You either want the player, you either want to help your football team, or you don't, right? So I have no patience for that kind of stuff today. Spotrack's a little slow. Shocker. Everything is slow today. Twitter has been out, off and on, all day long. So I said this on 98.5 yesterday. The depth of the offensive free agent class wasn't there, right? There's not a lot of great talent. I mean, Godwin's off the market. You now have Darius Slayton, and you've got, Joshua Palmer. You don't have number one receivers. As soon as Ron Lee Stanley went off the board, you had guys who can be starting left tackles, but you have questions, right? You have some questions, right? So when you look offensively, there wasn't a lot of depth. And what I said yesterday on 98.5 was, I wonder if the Patriots will be more aggressive on the defensive side of the football, because when you look at the defensive side of free agency, there was a lot of depth, right? At cornerback, for example, you've got Charvarius Ward. You've got Carlton Davis, who you just signed. You've got Byron Murphy. When you look at defensive tackle, you had a number of defensive tackles in free agency that, could really help you out. You had a number of guys on the edge. You had a number of guys, at linebacker. You have a guy at safety like Javon Holland. So when you looked at the talent, most of the talent was defensive. Just straight up. I mean, again, the Patriots, they need to sign a tackle. They need to sign Cam Robinson or Jedrick Wills. They badly need a tackle. And I'm not telling you that, just ignore a tackle. That's not my point. My point was yesterday that I would not be surprised if they spent more money than people expected defensively, because there was more talent on that side of the ball. Not that they were going to ignore offense, but that they would sign more people, spend more money on the defense, because the defense is where the talent was. So now that's what you've seen, right? You've seen Robert Spillane. You've seen Carlton Davis. You've seen Harold Landry last night. So that's what you're seeing. They still need a tackle badly. Badly, badly, badly. They still need a tackle. If they don't sign a tackle, it's brutal. But when you look at cornerback, you've got DJ Reed, you've got Byron Murphy, you've got Carlton Davis. You've got these guys, right? You've got Charvarius Ward. Those are four legitimate, really good corners. So if you miss on a really good corner, a legitimate, really good corner, you have another legitimate, really good corner that you can go out and sign. If you miss on Godwin like the Patriots did, you do not have a legitimate wide receiver one that you can go out and sign. So that's why I'm not surprised that the Patriots are spending a good amount of money on defense. Now, how does this impact everything? Here's another thing we have to look at. The draft. Now that you've signed Carlton Davis and you have Gonzalez and Davis on the outside, now that you have Carlton Davis and Gonzalez, that opens you up in the draft. If Travis Hunter falls to you at number 4, there is absolutely zero doubt what Travis Hunter is going to be for you. He's going to be your wide receiver. He's going to be your lead wide receiver. So if Travis Hunter falls to 4, or if even more dramatic, you decide, as was mentioned earlier, you trade up. If you trade up for somebody like Travis Hunter, then Travis Hunter is your wide receiver 1 at the Z position. So this signing of Carlton Davis allows you, if Travis Hunter is there, to draft him and have a solidified plan for Travis Hunter. Travis, you are a wide receiver. And I mentioned this, I think it was on last night's podcast. If not, it was on yesterday's radio show. It all ran together. But I mentioned that Paul Kaharski, mentioned that teams that spoke with Hunter at the draft, at the combine, they had the feeling, they got the tone, right? That got the tone of Hunter. If he had to choose one position, he would choose wide receiver. And obviously a lot of that has to do with the money. So if you go out and you get Travis Hunter, if he falls to you and you put him there as wide receiver 1, giddy up. Giddy up. And with Carlton Davis and Christian Gonzalez also, you have the capability of playing some great man coverage, which allows you to devote more people to the pass rush. It allows you to be more explosive and aggressive against the run game. Now you can say, hey, Carlton Davis, Christian Gonzalez, go out there and shut those guys down. Gonzalez, you got the 1. Carlton Davis, you've got the 2. And now you're cooking defensively. Mr. Snoopy's not happy. 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. What good is that defense if tired? Yeah, look, Mr. Snoopy, I know you now by now. You've been, a listener and a viewer since day one, and I appreciate you being an OG. But I also understand that you tend to slide on the pessimistic side, which I get. You have all the right to be pessimistic with the last couple off seasons and how bad this football team's been. So I get it. But I'm pretty sure the Patriots, I'm pretty sure the Patriots understand that they need offense. I don't think this is a surprise. They had planned on going hard after Ronnie Stanley, right? So they know what they need. We all know what they need. But you can only sign the guys that you can sign. Wait a minute. Milton Williams has not signed with the Panthers just yet. Hold on a minute. So Mike Silver, who initially said Milton Williams was signing with the Panthers, interesting, just quote tweeted that tweet. Actually, Mike Silver was relaying Diana Rossini's report that Milton Williams was going to the Panthers. Mike Silver now just quote tweeted that initial tweet 20 minutes ago and put update. Williams is close to signing with the Panthers. He has other options. I don't know what the hell that means. I don't know if that means Milton Williams got a late phone call and all of a sudden you look at it and go, oof. Wait a minute, right? So we'll see. We'll see if Milton Williams actually ends up. We'll see if Milton Williams actually ends up a Carolina Panther. But that's an interesting change. That's an interesting pivot. All of a sudden, Diana Rossini is now reporting that Milton Williams has not signed with the Panthers. He's close to signing with the Panthers, but he has other options. So now we have to wait and see what that means. We'll have to see if that means a team swooped in and said, wait a minute, we're going to pay you more money, Milton. Fascinating. So we'll see how that plays out. Choo-choo, $5 super chat. Thank you, Choo-choo. Patriots fans are so reactionary. They didn't want DK and vice versa. Bucks want Godwin back. Draft well. Look, every fan base is reactionary. Every single fan base is reactionary, this time of year. But I just think Patriots fans, they want to win. They want a good football team. And so they get frustrated. And I understand the frustrations. But I've tried to be honest with everybody. Free agency is not a fix-all, end-all, be-all. You need the player to want to come here. You need to make the money work. You need things to go your way. And it's always a big question. It is always a big question of whether or not you can get something done. I mean, I am just Twitter's having all sorts of issues. Sorry, I just got thrown off because I think Michael Silver went back and he might have deleted his initial Milton Williams tweet. So things are getting interesting. Things are getting very interesting. Is there a last-second change in the Milton Williams game? We'll have to wait and see. But that's fascinating. But this is the situation with free agency. This is the situation with free agency. You're not going to land everybody that you want to land. It's increasingly difficult when you're not a good football team and you have some other things working against you. I know people think that that's, excusing it. It's not. It's the reality of the situation, folks. It's the reality. So Diana Rossini just tweeted. Diana Rossini just quote tweeted Joe Person on Twitter talking about Milton Williams and said, "This is close. This is not done." So again, Milton Williams is not done. I would think he'll eventually get done, but maybe, just maybe, he is not done. By the way, Vic Tafer, who is a writer for The Athletic, for the Raiders, says that Spillane got $20.6 million guaranteed. So pretty much what was expected. Pretty much what was expected for Spillane. We'll see if Twitter can actually continue to survive. The Broncos, according to James Palmer, are trying to land Talanoa Hufanga, the safety from the 49ers. Hufanga is a very aggressive, exciting football player. He's also had a number of injuries, but he's talented. So Choo-choo, yeah, you're going to get Patriots fans. They're frustrated. They're angry. And again, when you have back-to-back 4-win seasons, I'm not going to sit here and get on Patriots fans. Last offseason did not go well. This offseason, people are going to sit there and wonder if they can get the job done. And that is fair. That is absolutely fair. But I also have to point out that it's very early and there can be other things. There can be other things that you can do. And we're still, 5-6 weeks away from the draft. All right, so here's an update about Milton Williams from Diana Rossini. Diana Rossini just quote tweeted. So Andrew Callahan tweeted out, the Patriots' hopes of landing Milton Williams with a question mark, and he had a gif of, I am not dead yet. Diana Rossini quote tweeted Andrew Callahan's tweet and wrote, other teams around the league are showing strong interest in landing Williams right now. So it sounds like to me somebody went a little too early on the Milton Williams signing. I think Diana pulled the trigger a little too early. Maybe Carolina thought they had Williams all set. Maybe Carolina got to Diana and said, we're getting Milton Williams. Somebody in the front office of Carolina kind of leaked that out, and it was leaked a little bit too early. And, maybe just maybe it was premature. And now Diana is saying there are teams that are showing some significant interest, strong interest in Milton Williams right now. So that sounds like to me that things are fluid. Matt Miller on Blue Sky just said, it sounds like Milton Williams to Carolina isn't quite done yet. Still room for a change there. So we're not yet done with the Milton Williams train. Everybody pause. Everybody pause. I got to have some water. We're not quite done. We're not quite done with the Milton Williams train. The Milton Williams train is still chugging. Diana Rossini saying that teams are showing strong interest right now. Other teams around the league are showing strong interest in landing Milton Williams. Milton Williams not done yet. Not done yet. Not done yet with Carolina. Interesting. Very interesting. All right, let's get back to the super chats here. Got a couple more. Charlie, $5 super chat. Does this signing change your thoughts about Hunter in the draft? Just answered that, Charlie. I appreciate you. Ever since I talked about this yesterday on 98.5. Well, there you go. I'll stop here because I've got to make sure that I am. Yep. All right. The Patriots have addressed tackle. The Patriots have addressed tackle. And Charlie, yes, I'm in on Hunter. I was in on Hunter when I heard about Paul Kaharski's note that Hunter wants to play. He wants to play wide receiver if he had to pick one. Mike Garofolo, NFL Network. The Patriots have agreed to terms with Morgan Moses. Morgan Moses, veteran offensive tackle. They overpaid. I don't want anybody freaking out. I don't want to hear anybody freaking out because everybody's been yelling about tackle, 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 tackle. The Patriots have signed Morgan Moses to a 3-year, $24 million deal. So my basic math skills tell me $8 million a year. Morgan Moses to the Patriots, 3 years, $24 million. He's 34 years old. I'd like to see what the guarantees are. But again, I'm not going to be choosy. I'm just not going to do it. So they needed a tackle. They got a right tackle, Morgan Moses. And now you've got Morgan Moses and, Caden Wallace. Caden Wallace can compete with Morgan Moses, but Morgan Moses is that veteran. He's the veteran on the right side. So you needed a tackle desperately. You desperately needed a right tackle, and you landed a right tackle. So that is a win. That is an absolute win for the Patriots. So, again, this is why we say everybody kind of relax a little bit. It's early on in free agency, right? The first 30 minutes, the first hour, everybody wants movement. Everybody wants things to happen. But Robert Spillane to me is a good signing. It's a pretty damn good signing. Carlton Davis to me is a good signing. Pretty damn good signing. And now you get one of the two tackle slots filled by Morgan Moses. Again, that veteran hand. Now I want to pull up some of Morgan Moses's stuff. I want to look at his market value. They way overpaid. If you look at Spotrac has him at $2 million a year. I think that's a little light in this tackle market, honestly. But again, they overpaid. Nobody would disagree that they overpaid for Morgan Moses. But would you rather overpay for a right tackle who's played in the league, somebody who can play a position that you need? It's $11 million guaranteed. Burt Breer tweets out that Moses is a fantastic locker room guy. He should fit Mike Vrabel's program nicely. So $11 million guaranteed. That's a fine deal. 11 million guaranteed. You're not losing your mind money-wise there. And again, you have an experienced right tackle to help protect Drake May. I want to look at Morgan Moses' numbers here. Now I know, let's see, his Pro Football Focus grade. He's somebody that can fill, that can fill a hole. He was at Baltimore. Then he obviously went to the Jets. He had a down year last year. When you look at it, 64th in like pass protection or whatever, and mid 50s in run blocking. But here's the thing. The question is Morgan Moses better than Caden Wallace? Right now, yes. Morgan Moses last year, better than Caden Wallace. Is Morgan Moses better than DeMontre Jacobs? Yes, he's better than DeMontre Jacobs. Is Morgan Moses a legitimate NFL right tackle? Yes, he's a legitimate NFL right tackle. This is what you get in free agency. You either want to sign free agents to try to plug holes, or you don't want to sign free agents. You can't complain about the team not paying guys and not signing free agents and then complain about, well, this guy's a little bit older. This guy wasn't great last year. That is free agency. That's free agency. You're trying to upgrade what you currently have. Signing Morgan Moses upgrades what you currently have. So I'm not going to have the patience for people who tell me the Patriots don't pay, the Patriots don't want to be active in free agency, the Patriots don't want to do this, they don't want to do that. And then when they sign somebody, they say, oh, yeah, but he's 34 years old and he's this and it. You can only sign the guys who are available to sign. You can't create a young right tackle out of the blue and sign him and say, here we go. Done, right? You can't go out and get what's not there. So Morgan Moses is a legitimate right tackle. Mike Giardi tweets out, Moses is one of the toughest dudes around, missing just 2 games this year with an MCL sprain, bone bruise in his knee. He also had meniscus damage, a small fracture, but he continued to play. He only missed 2 games. Again, he's 34. Most people that you sign, you're going to have a flaw. You're going to have an issue. That's just how free agency works, folks. DJ Reed, by the way, this is interesting. DJ Reed goes to the Lions. So Carlton Davis leaves the Lions for the Patriots, and DJ Reed ends up going to the Lions to replace Carlton Davis. He gets a 3-year, $48 million deal that includes $32 million guaranteed. So that is obviously less money than what the Patriots had to pay for Carlton Davis. But again, we've gone through this. You have to overpay. You have to overpay at times. You have to overpay a lot of times if you're the Patriots. So if you want the guys, you got to pay the guys. It's how this works. And everybody out there, if you want it, if you want this team to get better, if you want improvements, then these are improvements. By the way, we talked about links, right? All of these free agents signing, the links between the free agents and the coaching staff. Well, of course, Morgan Moses is another link to the coaching staff, because Moses obviously played in New York last year with the Jets, and Todd Downing, your wide receivers coach, played in New York last year. So you have yet another link from the free agent to the coaching staff. And we expected that. We predicted that to happen. It's not rocket science. Makes a lot of sense. All right, let's jump to a few super chats here. We're approaching 2 hours on this live stream. Going solo, 2 hours. Continuing to go, until you guys want me to stop. I'm going to keep going as far as I can, unless I start getting just, to the point where I have to eat and eventually have to have some lunchy lunch. But I'm going to keep going. We'll see what happens with Milton Williams. There's some questions about Milton Williams out there. You guys can help us out. You guys can help us out today by making sure you click that thumbs up button. Click that thumbs up button to help us with the algorithm. Don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to throw a comment in. How do you feel about free agency so far? And don't forget to subscribe. We're trying to look at trying to get to 6,500 subscribers by draft night. So I think we're about 380 away, somewhere around there. So don't forget to subscribe as well. Over 600 watching. Give me some likes. I have to have at least 400, 500 likes as we get closer to 2 hours. All right, let's hit some super chats here. I got to make sure which ones that I have not yet gotten to. All right, let's go to Eric Griffin, $5 super chat. Hunter at 4, trade back and get Tet or Warren, unless the left tackle situation stays awfully bad. Then I'd go after the kid from Mizzou, who is Armand Membu. What I would say is I don't want the Patriots to be stuck drafting for need. Especially at number 4. Like if you think that Will Campbell is a tackle, again, we've talked about this. To me, Will Campbell would be a unicorn. If you believe that Will Campbell is a unicorn and can play left tackle with his wingspan and his arm measurements, then you draft Will Campbell. But you've got to be right on the evaluation, because if Will Campbell can't play left tackle and you spend the 4th pick on a guard, that's just bad asset management. It's awful. So I don't want the Patriots to just reach. The interesting thing about Armand Membu is he's played right tackle his entire college career. So do you think he can move to the left side? Now, he's got the athleticism that people believe he can move to the left side, but this is the same thing that we saw last year with Chuks Okorafor and Caden Wallace, where it was you couldn't get a left tackle because free agency stunk, and you drafted the way you drafted. So you hoped that Wallace or Okorafor could move to the left side, and we know how that ended. So if you're going to draft Armand Membu, especially now that you signed Morgan Moses, you better hope that Membu can move to the left side. You better hope that Membu can move to the left side and be your left tackle for the next 8 to 10 years. That's what I would think. But right now, I want Travis Hunter. I'm hoping. I have my fingers crossed that Hunter falls to 4. If not, I hope that the Patriots can move down a couple of slots. If not, then we have the conversation about Membu, Will Campbell, Mason Graham, Tyler Warren. Justin, TF Patriots, smoke and mirrors by Milton's agent to get more money. Yeah, could be. Could be, Justin. Milton Williams' agent could be playing games. It could be a situation where the Panthers thought they had a deal, and they said, wait a minute, relax, calm down. Caden Steele, by the way, says that Milton Williams, now Caden Steele is NJ.com, used to work for the Philly Inquirer, but he's saying that Milton Williams is in talks with the Cardinals and the Minnesota Vikings. So we'll see if that ends up being true. Lots of confusion over Milton Williams right now. The Morgan Moses edition, too. Let's not forget, you got Michael Wenu on the right side. You've got Morgan Moses on the right side. Those guys are going to be devastating in the run game. I mean, devastating. You've got 2 big, just maulers on the right side of your line. So those guys are going to do some work in the run game. But back to Justin, your point, it could be smoke and mirrors. Carolina could think that they have a deal done and they leak it. And then all of a sudden, the agent starts playing games and the agent says, all right, let's throw out there that we have strong interest. Let's make Carolina feel like we've got stronger interest from other places. We can get more money out of them. Tobias, super chat. If they land Robinson, Wills at left tackle, can draft a wide receiver in round 1, add depth on both lines. It's a very good start. Remember, it's not done in 1 year. I agree with you, Tobias. People are going to get mad at you and say it's because I said it's not done in 1 year last offseason. But again, we got changing regimes. We've got Mike Vrabel. There's going to be a lot of overhaul, right? There's going to be a lot of turnover on this roster. There's going to be a lot of turnover because Mike Vrabel has different profiles for players that he wants as part of this program. So you're going to see, you're going to see a lot of movement here. And, for Vrabel and Stretch and Ryan Cowden, their point is your point. Like, this is, we're trying to change things around here. We're trying to find the culture again and reset things. The Mayo thing was a disaster. So we're trying to set this all up again. And there's plenty of time left in this offseason. We'll see what happens at left tackle. Cam Robinson's still out there. Jedrick Wills is a name that I've brought up for months, since really the last couple of months since Mike Vrabel became the head coach, because Vrabel was out there in Cleveland And obviously Wills was out there in Cleveland. So you would imagine that the Patriots have good intel on Jedrick Wills because of Vrabel and that connection. So we'll see. They have to fill that left tackle spot. They know it. I know it. We all know it. Wide receiver 1 is still a problem. Again, you hope maybe that Hunter falls down to 4. Vitalix, $5 super chat. Would you be able to find out the cap space situation after all these signings are too early? Thanks, Nick. Amazing coverage today. Vitalix, thank you. I appreciate it. It's too early, Vitalix, I would think, because the devil's in the details with these contracts. You know, we find out that, you know, the guaranteed money is split in different years, and there's signing bonuses, and, you know, it's a lot of funny money in the NFL. So you've got to really go through all of these contracts with a fine-tooth comb. And we probably won't find out the actual details of these contracts until a few days. Mike Florio usually does a great job doing that, finding the details, but it usually takes a couple days. Drygo, $10 super chat. Go order a grinder on me, Nick. Many in chat are complaining about the Patriots never drafting well at wide receiver, but they're forgetting that Vrabel had a big hand in drafting A.J. Brown. Great show. Thank you, Drygo. He had a hand in drafting A.J. Brown, but he was also there when they drafted Traylon Burks, who stunk. So, you know, we'll see. We'll see how it works out. But I take your overall point, and I agree with it. This is a different regime, right? Mike Vrabel, Stretch, Cowden, they have not drafted a receiver here in New England. And maybe, you know, maybe the Patriots, they don't want to deal that second-round pick for DK Metcalf last night because maybe they feel that, you know, there's a receiver that could be there for them at 38 that they think could be, you know, not as good as DK right off the bat, but could help them. And I know people, I get it, Jalen Polk, and I get the history, N'Keal Harry, I understand. But if Stretch and Vrabel and Cowden and Wolf and whoever else, Highsmith, if they look at, let's say, like a Jaden Higgins from Iowa State, who had a really good combine, if they look at Jaden Higgins, who is, you know, your prototypical X, maybe they think, you know, he's got something. You know, maybe they say he's the guy. 6'4", 215, really good combine, could be there at 38. So there's a lot to unfold, and I know people are not excited about that because they want everything done in one day. I understand. I get it. But you wanted the Patriots to spend money. The Patriots have spent money today. You wanted the Patriots to add a tackle. We want a left tackle, but at least they got a right tackle done. You got 2 really, really good cornerbacks, shutdown guys. You got Harold Landry as an upgrade in your pass rush. Robert Spillane as an upgrade at anything that you had at linebacker. All right, before I want to call up King Cato, I haven't seen King Cato in a while. Thank you, Ricky. I think it's Ricky. Thank you for the $2 super chat. King Cato, 21, $5 super chat. Thank you. Any interest in Najee Harris to bolster the running back stable, or Nick Westbrook-Akine to play X? Nick Westbrook-Akine is a connection, of course, with Vrabel. He played down in Tennessee. He had his best year in the NFL this year. He is certainly somebody that is bigger and can play that X role. He's not a wide receiver 1. He's far from it, but he would fit that mold. He would fit that profile. So Najee Harris, I'd pass on Najee Harris. What about a Brandon Cooks reunion at wide receiver? Ricky with a $2 super chat. Cooks is interesting. Sounded like the last time, it sounded like Cooks might actually go back to New Orleans, but we'll see. You know, we'll see how that all kind of unfolds and what happens with Brandon Cooks. But, you know, he's got the injury history. He's got the concussion history. How old is Brandon Cooks now? Is he 31, 32? I got to look this up. How old is Brandon Cooks? Brandon Cooks is 31. So he's 31. He's going to be 32 in September. So, you know, I would probably lean towards I'd probably lean towards Darius Slayton, honestly, at this stage. Slayton's, I think he's 27, 28. I'd probably lean towards that. I see a lot of people reacting to, not getting a left tackle just yet. And I get it. But some people are reacting with this idea of like, oh, this means the Patriots have to draft Will Campbell. I disagree. I don't think you do not draft out of desperation. Don't do it. Thank you, D. David, for the super chat. Appreciate you. Right now, to me, Travis Hunter falling to 4 would be an absolutely fantastic situation for the Patriots. If Travis Hunter could fall to 4, that would be quite the thing. Quite the thing. Gregory Brown says Cards and Vikings on Milton Williams. Yeah, I mentioned that a moment ago. Somebody who used to work for the Philadelphia Inquirer tweeted that out, that it's the Vikings and the Cardinals. All right, so let's take a look at Seth Walder from ESPN is updating on ESPN Insider. He's giving grades to every signing. He actually gave the Patriots a B for trading Devon Godchaux for a 7th-round pick. Godchaux's numbers took a dip last season, so he likes that. Seth Walder, ESPN, the signing of Harold Landry. He gives the Patriots a B+. Gives them a B+ for the Landry signing. Again, Seth Walder at ESPN. He gives the Patriots signing of Harold Landry a B+. Says Landry's win rates have been just okay in recent seasons. His 15% pass rush win rate at edge ranked almost exactly average for a starting edge rusher in 2024. See, so we talk about the pass rush win rate for Harold Landry being low last year, but Seth Walder says when Landry played at edge, he had a pass rush win rate that is exactly average for a starting edge. He's established himself as a player who can consistently get more sacks than his win rates would suggest. Walder says he gives the Landry contract a B+ because it brings production in the door when it's badly needed. So Seth Walder of ESPN gives Harold Landry that signing, gives him a B+. Trying to jump down here a little bit more. We'll see if he's added anything. He's got the Jalen Moore. Want to update that and see how much he's added. And it looks like Landry is the only Patriots signing so far that Seth Walder has graded. Again, a B+. Mike Pyle says, I'm doing a great job. Thank you, Mike. Terry Grant, $50 super chat. Thank you, Terry. We're over 2 hours long. Don't be concerned about being late to the party. So much to catch up on. What is the number one news? Well, I will tell you that right now, the news is Chris Godwin stayed in Tampa, even though reportedly the Patriots offered as much as $20 million more. By the way, Twitter is down again. Yay. So you've got Chris Godwin staying in Tampa. You have the Patriots signing Robert Spillane, linebacker, athletic, second level, gets after it. Somebody who gets downhill and can make plays. So you've got Spillane, who is your prototypical Vrabel linebacker, incredibly productive, over 300 tackles combined the last 2 years in Vegas, was a former Raiders captain. So seems like he's a guy who really understands the dynamics of a locker room. The Patriots also signed Carlton Davis, outside corner. And that's, I think, a really good signing. You've got Davis now as your 2, opposite of Christian Gonzalez. You've got 2 legitimate, really good cornerbacks at the NFL level that will allow you to play some more man coverage, and it will allow you to get after the quarterback more often. And they also have brought in Morgan Moses, who was the right tackle at the New York Jets last season. He's 34 years old. He's older, there's no doubt, but they have brought in Morgan Moses, who I would imagine is going to be your starting right tackle, and you hope that he stays healthy. But he's better than what you have. And I think he's significantly better than what you have on the roster right now because you got a bunch of unknowns. So the Patriots have hit positions of need, and they've brought in guys who I think are upgrades. Harold Landry is an upgrade. Spillane is an upgrade. Carlton Davis is an upgrade. Morgan Moses is an upgrade. It's not the sexy names. It's not a, dramatic, oh my goodness, what a day the Patriots have had. But they are upgrades at positions, and they're spending money, which is what people want. I don't think it's the end-all, be-all, of course, because there's going to be questions, as there always are questions, and there should be questions about free agency. But I think they've done a pretty good job today. We're waiting on Milton Williams. There's some weird stuff going on with Milton Williams. He was reportedly going to the Panthers, and then you've got, the Panthers now maybe not signing Milton Williams. It sounds like Milton Williams is talking to the Vikings. He's talking to the Cardinals. Are the Patriots involved? That has not been reported as of the latest. But Milton Williams is kind of, all over the joint. We're trying to figure out what is true and what is not true with Milton Williams. So that is your latest. Twitter is down yet again. Shocking. I've got threads up for Adam Schefter. I've got my deck blue up for Blue Sky for any updates. And I'm continuing to refresh Twitter. But it has been an absolute nightmare when it comes to Twitter/X today. Elon Musk not having a good day. He is not having a good day. But again, thank you, Terry, for the $50 super chat. All right. D. David 1. It's quite depressing that we have to address every position that we've drafted in the last at least 2 years. Yeah. I mean, look, I've been on this for a long time. And I think people, if you've followed me, you know that I've been on this for a long time. Free agency is not the ultimate answer. The draft is the ultimate answer. That's how you build sustained success. The teams that are spending a lot of money year in and year out, a lot of that money is spent on retaining their own players that they drafted. When you miss on the draft, there's a huge ripple effect. Free agency is not as good as it used to be going back years ago, even going back to 2021. Like you just don't have the level of free agents that you used to have because the cap is going up. Teams are smarter in managing the money. Teams are smarter in retaining their own players before they hit free agency because especially first round talent. And by the way, Jeff Howe, friend of the program, says that Milton Williams is still drawing heavy interest from teams. So Milton Williams still not signed. That might be a 30 for 30. It might be a 30 for 30 at some point. So, you just don't have the free agents that you wish you had. And so when you don't draft well, you go to free agency. In free agency, you're signing a lot of flawed players, right? You're signing players that teams did not want or weren't willing to bend to keep. And so you're now spending on players that are flawed. And the only way that you can fix that is by drafting better. So you don't have to depend on free agency. And I know, for some reason, there's some blowback at me when I criticize Bill Belichick's drafting. I don't know how that is still a thing in 2025. The fact is that Bill Belichick, for the vast majority of his last several years in New England, as the shot caller, the guy who was making the decisions, he failed drafting. He failed horrendously. I mean, it was just spectacular fail. And we sit here and we talk about the offensive line. And as I've said, with the offensive line, you can draw a direct through line from Bill Belichick's drafting to what we've seen play out over the past several years with the Patriots. Bill Belichick decided that Trent Brown was going to be the answer at left tackle, which is fine if Trent Brown's going to be your answer for a year or two. But what you have to do is you've got to draft and develop somebody behind Trent Brown So when Trent Brown inevitably falls apart, you have the answer. Belichick did not spend a single draft pick in the top 3 rounds on a tackle since Isaiah Wynn. And Isaiah Wynn ended up being a guard. Like, they drafted Kajust, like around the 100th pick of the draft. That was the highest draft pick that they used on an offensive tackle going back to like 2018. That's outrageous. It's terrible management. And so I know there are some people that want to, wash Bill Belichick of everything that's happened, but the reason why you're dealing with the offensive line that you're dealing with right now is because the front office, led by Bill Belichick, failed to address the offensive line at the tackle positions for years in the draft. They're spending 6th-round picks. They're spending 4th-round picks. They're not spending top, first-round picks on tackles. They're spending first-round picks on Cole Strange. And then you have the Joe Tooney decision. You have the Shaq Mason trade. You have the fact that they said goodbye to Ted Karras, who was a steady interior offensive lineman who wasn't going to cost you a lot of money. So when we look at the offensive line right now, it is directly due to the bad job from Bill Belichick addressing the offensive line. That's fact. I mean, it's not even an opinion at this point. So, yes, the bad drafting, same thing with receiver. The bad drafting has killed this team. And that's why you're in the spot you're in. Chris Chapman, $20 super chat. By the way, I'm going to go up until, let's call it, I don't know. I'll go at least another half hour, but I do have to call it at some point to eat lunch. But I'm going to keep going. We'll see if Milton Williams news comes out. Of course, we're now back to the blue sky crawl because Twitter is down for the roughly 772nd time today. But I am going to have some lunch in a little while. I'm going to hang around, though. Over 622 people watching live. Don't forget to click that thumbs up button. Help us out. We're going towards 2.5 hours live stream. I keep pumping out the content as much as I can. Don't forget to, like the show here on YouTube. Don't forget to throw your comments in, and don't forget to subscribe. Trying to hit 6,500 subscribers by draft night. Chris Chapman, $20 super chat. Thanks, Nick. We'll listen from the beginning. Thanks for keeping us updated. I'm trying, Chris. I appreciate the $20 super chat. It has not been easy today with all the Twitter noise. Juice, $5 super chat. What are the chances we sign Javon Holland or re-sign Jonathan Jones and move him to safety? All right, so Javon Holland, I saw an update on Holland having interest from 3 or 4 teams. I did not see the Patriots listed as one of those teams. And the Patriots might look at it and say, hey, we have a lot of money tied up in, Duggar and Peppers, and we're not going to spend, 15 to 20 million on Javon Holland. Maybe that's what they're thinking. Maybe they do spend the money on him. We'll have to wait and see. But the latest I saw on Javon Holland, the Patriots were not involved. At least not at a level that was, worthwhile reporting. Jonathan Jones is somebody I've got interest in. And I agree with you here, Juice, if I may call you Juice. Jonathan Jones was on my, off-season plan on the defensive side, a 1-year deal, 2-year deal, short money, and I would kick Jonathan Jones back to free safety. That's what I would do if you're not going to bring Holland in. All right, we got lots of comments rolling in. Lots of comments. We'll see if Twitter/X can get its act together. It doesn't look like it so far. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to ask all of you in the comment section. I want you to give me the Patriots grade so far. We're 2 hours in. So they've re-signed Austin Hooper. They have signed Harold Landry. Today they have signed Carlton Davis, Robert Spillane, Morgan Moses. Throw a comment in. Give me your grade. What is your grade? What is your grade right now? Brimblebray with a B. Andy Pike with a B. John Meehan with a B. Brendan Ritchie with a B. MA177 with a B+. Danny Wynn with a C. C Vang, Z Vong, C Vong. Is it Vong or Vang? I don't know. B-. Shark Media B. Francis, A grade. They have more NFL caliber players than this morning. Jeff Packard jumps in with a B. Drygo says B+. Arthur Shapiro gives him an A. JM3 with a B. William Sprague with a B+. I see other Bs. Charles Rogers with a C+. Gregory with a B. Stevie Ray with a B. Turtle with an A-, but it's all relative. KM, C+, not addressing offensive issues. So I'd say most people have about a B. About a B. That's where I'd sit. I'd sit at about a B. I'd sit at about a B so far in free agency. And that does not include the DK Metcalf non-trade, right? We're just looking at what they've done in free agency. I would sit at a B. All right, Anonymous, $10 super chat. Thanks, Nick, for the live stream. He hates Elon Musk more than Aaron Rodgers. Well, there you go. It's interesting. The Aaron Rodgers stuff came out, and I want to get to that. So there was the Aaron Rodgers tweet from somebody. I don't know. So much has happened today. There was the Aaron Rodgers tweet that said that, he was close. Jerry Dulac in Pittsburgh said that the Steelers were close with Rodgers. And I want to pay close attention to that. And I see some people with the Elon Musk stuff. Let's stay away from Elon Musk, everybody. I don't want to get into the politics. It's a bad day for him with Twitter, but let's just keep this. Let's keep this to free agency, everybody. Let's just keep this to free agency. So I want to highlight the Aaron Rodgers stuff, though, because we all should be paying attention to the quarterback market. What the Patriots want the Giants and the Browns to feel desperate at quarterback. So if Rodgers goes to the Steelers, right? If Rodgers goes to the Steelers, and let's say Sam Darnold goes to the Seahawks, and Justin Fields goes to the Jets, and Daniel Jones goes to the Colts. All of those moves have been talked about. And at different times, by the way, the Panthers are signing Trevon Moehrig, safety, from the Raiders. 3 years, $51 million deal. That's according to Jordan Schultz. So the Panthers sign Moehrig to a 3-year, $51 million deal. Back to the quarterback idea. So all of those have been kind of rumored. Some people have said some deals are closer than others. Right now, it sounds like Darnold could certainly end up in Seattle. It sounds like Rodgers could end up in Pittsburgh. It sounds like Justin Fields could end up with the Jets. It sounds like Daniel Jones could certainly end up with Indianapolis. So if those pieces fell together, the Giants and the Browns would have no answer at quarterback. And of course, if the Giants and Browns don't have an answer at quarterback, that makes it a hell of a lot more likely to go along with Tennessee. That makes it more likely that 2 quarterbacks could be drafted in the top 3. And if 2 quarterbacks are drafted in the top 3, that then brings Travis Hunter into play at 4. So we have to pay attention to the quarterback questions. We've got to pay attention to what's going on throughout the league, because the domino effect at quarterback, the domino effect at quarterback inherently impacts the Patriots in the draft. So we want any and all good options, decent options. We want every single one of those going to teams that are not the Browns and not the Giants. And we want the Giants and the Browns to be incredibly desperate when the draft hits, so the Patriots can take advantage of that desperation. And that's how you get Travis Hunter to fall to 4th overall. That's how it happens. So that's really the perfect, the perfect scenario. If you look at how can you get Travis Hunter to the Patriots at 4, all of those things unfold. And because all of those things unfolded, the Browns and the Giants became very desperate. And so they decided, screw it. We're drafting Cam Ward. We're drafting Shedeur Sanders because we need a quarterback. We need a quarterback. And we can't sit there and wait around. We can't sit there and wait around forever. And so that's a situation. So people are telling me that Milton Williams has gone to the Patriots. I'm waiting for some kind of social media confirmation here. For the love of God. I'm waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. Can somebody put on blue sky if the Patriots sign Milton Williams? Somebody. The Twitter outage is killing me. Can somebody that is an NFL insider that can breathe, can somebody post on blue sky if the Patriots are signing Milton Williams? For all that is holy, I need the answer. Give me the answer. I'm close to 2.5 hours. All right. Everybody that's saying Milton Williams, where are you getting it from? Ian Rappaport just said it. And there it is. And there it is. It's official. Milton Williams got $26 million per year. Don't you tell me that the Patriots are not spending money. They just spent $26 million a year on Milton Williams. This is a gigantic signing. My goodness. All right, it looks like I'm going to keep going. I need water. Ian Rappaport on Blue Sky. The Patriots are taking the biggest defender off the market. Milton Williams lands in New England per he and Mike Garafolo. Milton Williams is a New England Patriot. We thought that he was going to be a Carolina Panther. I have no idea. I have no idea what happened, and I don't care what happened. I couldn't care less. I couldn't care less about why it didn't work in Carolina. I don't care. I don't care. Milton Williams gets $26 million a year. Milton Williams is headed to the New England Patriots. I don't want to hear another word about the Patriots not spending money. I don't want to hear another word about the Patriots not being aggressive. I don't want to hear any of it. And if people don't want to believe that the Patriots offered Chris Godwin more than $20 million than Tampa did, well, those people have to now pivot and change their mind. Because if you're paying Milton Williams $26 million a year, then you certainly offered Chris Godwin more money than Tampa offered Chris Godwin. I could guarantee you that. And this is why people hate when I do it, say the offseason is young, we still have plenty of time, we have no idea what's going to happen. Everybody relax. Everybody relax and take a deep breath. Diana Rossini, the Panthers were close to a deal earlier. The Cardinals were lurking, but New England ends up getting it done. That is a crazy, crazy turn of events. And now what I was talking about an hour and a half ago, 2 hours ago, when we thought that Milton Williams didn't sign, I said, man, oh man, that's the biggest gut punch, right? Alec, I see you. I don't think you're live. I'm not missing it. We're talking about it right now. When I said it is the biggest gut punch, it is the biggest gut punch for the Patriots to not get Milton Williams. And the fact that Williams was going to Carolina, that would have been absolutely brutal. Flip it around. Flip it around. Because Milton Williams is a Patriot. He is a Patriot. He was their top target defensively. And they landed him. They landed their top defensive target. And that's really good news. That is really good news. Milton Williams is a New England Patriot. The Patriots get their number one guy, their number one target. They missed on their number one target offensively, but again, Godwin stayed in Tampa. Not going to kill Godwin for staying in Tampa, especially given the fact that the reports are that somebody offered Godwin $20 million more, and that somebody was the Patriots. So the Patriots try to do everything that they could do. They try to do everything that they could do to get Godwin, and now they just did everything that they could do to go out and get Milton Williams. If you wanted the Patriots to pay money, if you wanted the Patriots to throw the cap space around, if you wanted them to go out and sign talent and do what they had to do, that's exactly what they're doing. That's exactly what they're doing. So let's talk about Milton Williams, shall we? Here was what Bill Barnwell wrote about Milton Williams at ESPN. Williams has gone from being a 2-down run stuffer to a 3-down player capable of serving as a 1-technique nose tackle or a 3-technique penetrator. He doesn't have the silky pass rushing ability of Jalen Carter, but he can blow up just about any offensive lineman he faces on any given snap. After a career-high 5 sacks and 10 knockdowns in the regular season, Williams added 2 sacks and 3 knockdowns during Philly's postseason run. He has been productive on about 48% of the snaps for the Eagles, splitting time with Jordan Davis and occasionally rotating in for Carter. He'll have a larger role with his new team, and at 25, Milton Williams is only 25 years old. And at 25, his best years should still be ahead of him. That was Bill Barnwell. That was Bill Barnwell. Here's Pro Football Focus on Milton Williams. I think people are a little bit behind. Some of these people are telling me we got Milton Williams. I'm going live. I don't know if it's like dragging for you, but I've been talking about Milton Williams for a few minutes now. Pro Football Focus on Williams. A third straight Eagle might seem preposterous, but that's really how good Vic Fangio's defense is. They're talking about their ratings and rankings on defense. Even in playing just 268 snaps across a deep defensive line, Williams made an impact. Milton Williams, 91 Pro Football Focus pass rushing grade, ranks second among all interior defenders. And his 17.5% pass rush win rate slots fourth. Pro Football Focus is telling us that Milton Williams is a top 5 pass rushing interior defensive lineman in 2024. Run defense has been more of a problem, but he's still highly valuable, slotting 7th at the position in Pro Football Focus's wins above replacement metric. Milton Williams was a top 8. Milton Williams was a top 8 defensive tackle. That you just signed a top 8 defensive tackle who's 25 years old. Only 25, Pro Football Focus writes. Williams can be overshadowed on a stacked Eagles defense, but is assuredly appreciated around the league. Danny asks, are we back? We might be back. Amstel 54. And this says a lot because Amstel is pretty pessimistic, but now Amstel's pumped after Milton Williams. Sounds like certain radio shows came out dumping on the Patriots for not being willing to spend money. Premature. Let's talk about this defense, folks. Mike Giardi tweets out, Milton Williams was a priority. The Pats steal him away from Carolina and others. They needed that one. That's huge. Absolutely huge. Let's talk about this defense. You obviously hope Christian Barmore is healthy. If Christian Barmore is healthy, this defense is tough. Let's go off the premise that Barmore is healthy. If you end up having a healthy if you end up having a healthy Christian Barmore, this is what we've been talking about for the last few weeks. You have Barmore and Milton Williams on your interior defensive line. That is a devastating, and I'm not being hyperbolic. You know me. If Barmore's healthy and you've got Barmore and Milton Williams on the interior, that is a devastating combination. That is a combination that no offensive line wants to deal with. Both guys are tremendously athletic for their size. Both guys are damn good at getting after the quarterback. This is exactly what we've been talking about regarding Mike Vrabel and, what Vrabel likes on defense. Vrabel likes athletic, get after the quarterback, defensive tackles. That's what he likes. That's what he loves. So you've got Barmore, hopefully healthy, fingers crossed, and Milton Williams in the middle. That's going to create a ton of pressure, right? You're going to get that pressure up the middle, which is what quarterbacks are most uncomfortable with. The pass rush up the middle, through the gut, because quarterbacks love to step, right? They love to step into their throws. They love to be able to, create some time and find their intended target. And when you force a quarterback to get outside and create off platform, most quarterbacks get very, very uncomfortable. So the Patriots now, if you've got Milton Williams and you've got, not even if you have Milton Williams, but if you have Christian Barmore healthy, you're going to generate that interior pass rush. Now, what does that do? It forces the quarterback out of the pocket. It forces the quarterback to go to the outside. Now you've got Harold Landry and Anthony Jennings on the outside. Now, Anthony Jennings is not, a great pass rusher, so to speak. So that's one part of this, right? But if you force the quarterback to go towards Anthony Jennings, he just needs to make the play on the edge. Meanwhile, you've got Harold Landry on the other edge, who is somebody who can, clean up, so to speak, and take care of the quarterback, because the quarterback gets flushed out of the pocket by your ridiculous interior pass rush. Let's not forget to mention that you also have Keion White. You have Keion White as part of this defensive line. Keion White, Christian Barmore, Milton Williams. These are highly athletic, freakish, aggressive, pass-rushing interior defensive linemen. Harold Landry on the edge. Jennings on the edge. Wouldn't be surprised if you go out and you draft another edge. That's your defensive line. Now let's move to linebacker. At inside linebacker, you have Robert Spillane, who you signed today. Incredibly athletic, right? Somebody who gets downhill, flies around the field, isn't bad in coverage. So when you look at Robert Spillane, he helps, right? He helps big time. Juwan Bentley should be coming back. I think Bentley will stay. I think Tavai is gone. You have Juwan Bentley and Robert Spillane as your linebackers. Guys that get downhill, guys that fly to the football, and guys that, the Patriots, running backs are not going to love playing against the Patriots because of those two running backs. By the way, the Seahawks, according to Jordan Schultz, signed Sam Darnold. Schefter on it as well. 3 years, $110.5 million contract, $55 million guaranteed. That's good news for the Patriots. Like I said, you want Darnold going to the Seahawks. You want Rodgers going to the Steelers. You want Justin Fields going to the Jets, because that's going to open up opportunity in the draft at number 4. We're cranking. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm over 2.5 hours on this live stream. Let's build the community. Help us out. If you haven't liked us yet, like us. If you haven't commented yet, throw a comment in. If you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe. What do we got to do? Subscribe and hit that notify bell so you know when we go live. So you've got Spillane and Juwan Bentley, linebackers, downhill, aggressive, fly around the field, and smash running backs. Then you have Christian Gonzalez and Carlton Davis on the outside. Christian Gonzalez, one of the best young corners in football, one of the best corners in football last year, period, end of sentence. Carlton Davis, one of the better cornerbacks in football, now having to take care of your number 2 wide receiver. So you've got Gonzalez and you've got Davis. You also still have Duggar, who had a bad wheel last year and a bad season. But you have Duggar, you have Peppers, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with, any other possible movement with Jonathan Jones. But this defense on paper is easily a top 10 defense. Easily a top 10 defense. This Milton Williams signing is big time. Is absolutely big time. Let's jump to some super chats. Let me find them. Greg Fields. B-ish, but how much have we really helped Drake? I think Greg put a B on the grade before Milton Williams. I think a lot of people who are at like a B would go up. I'm going to go up as well with the Milton Williams signing. I'd say the Patriots are now hovering around a B+ with what they've done. I understand the offensive stuff, Greg. It's a fair question. But I said this at some point during this podcast, during this live stream. Here's what I'll say. I'll say it again for people just joining us because I know we've been going for almost 3 hours here. Here's what I would say. Offensively, there wasn't a ton of talent available in free agency. There just wasn't. That was the case before it began at noon today. It is still the case. They offered Chris Godwin more than $20 million than Tampa did. Chris Godwin said, thanks, but no thanks. I want to stay in Tampa. They did what they could do to try to get Godwin. I can't hold that against them. I just can't. Some people might. That's fine. You can do what you would like to do, but I'm not going to hold it against them. If they beat Tampa's offer by $20 million, which was the report, if they beat the Tampa offer by $20 million and Godwin said no, to me that's not on the Patriots. The only thing you could do is offer him the most money. They offered him the most money by far, and he said no. So I can't kill him for that. But when you look at offense, the question is left tackle. Ronnie Stanley stayed in Baltimore. Is what it is. Patriots were reportedly willing to dump a lot of money on Stanley. I think at this point, with the money they spent on Carlton Davis and Milton Williams, I think we can put the, Robert Kraft wasn't willing to pay stuff for this offseason. We can put that away, right? Throw that away because they're spending a ton of money right now. So they were going to go after Ronnie Stanley. And Ronnie Stanley decided to stay in Baltimore. Jalen Moore went to Kansas City. You're not going to win. You're just not going to win a bidding war for somebody like Jalen Moore if you're going against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. Dan Moore signed a deal. Dan Moore got more money, no pun intended, than Ronnie Stanley did. Now, if they don't end up with a left tackle, I would have rather overpaid Jalen Moore or, overpaid even Dan Moore to bring him in, right? We'll see. Cam Robinson is still out there. We'll see if they land Cam Robinson. Jedrick Will is still out there. Meanwhile, they did add a right tackle in Morgan Moses. And by the way, Mark Daniels of Mass Live just posted that the Patriots are showing interest in Patrick McCarry. Patrick McCarry would be a very good signing if they can get that done. So they're interested in McCarry. We'll see if they can get McCarry and that contract done. But it would make a ton of sense if you go out and sign McCarry because you're addressing the interior offensive line. So we still got time, Greg. If they sign, if they sign Darius Slayton or Joshua Palmer, they end up, making a trade for T. Higgins or make a trade for A.J. Brown or make a trade for whoever. If they land, Travis Hunter in the draft, there's still a lot of time. And I know, again, I get it. It's frustrating because we went through some of this last year, but they still have time. They still have time. Terry Grant jumps in. She spent a $50 super chat earlier. She's back with 10. Nick, you deserve something stronger than water. I need a Starbucks. Yeah. As you know, Terry, I'm not a coffee person. So on days like this, it's rough. I would just love a water. Maybe I can, you know what? Maybe I could see if Kelly will get me a water. My lovely wife, Kelly. Give me a minute here, folks. I just want to jump into the the Gmail chat. And going to see if Kelly can just quickly hand me a water. That'd be awesome if she did. So, see if we can get a water in here. See if we can make that happen. Because I need to, as they say, wet the whistle. Going on 3 hours. I love every single one of you for being here. I really do. Appreciate every single one of you for supporting this thing. Everything Pats, the New England Patriots podcast. We've been going on for, about a year and a half now. Continue to grow, and it's because of all of you. So thank you for that. And thank you, Terry, for the $10 super chat. Jose Garcia, let me pull you up here. StreamYard's acting a little funky because I've probably been on here for 3 hours, so keeps jumping on, jumping off. It's like Twitter today. Defense a little better, but how does this help May? I see him running for his life again next year. So I feel like we're going to get a lot of this. I understand. I get it. We all want offense. I'll say it again. Offense is just not – it's not deep in free agency. It's just not deep. Now, you can question, like I have, the DK Metcalf thing, but we'll see. If they land Brandon Ayuk or they land T. Higgins or they land A.J. Brown or they draft Travis Hunter, I understand it. They need a left tackle. Cam Robinson is still out there. Jedrick Will is still out there, and we'll see if they land one of them. But I get it. Vitalik's $5 super chat. One for the Panthers fans. Oof. But let's go. Yeah, that's a rough one. That's a rough one. I mean, you're a Panthers fan, and you're thinking that the Panthers are going to you're thinking the Panthers are going to land Milton Williams. And, by the way, Darius Slay signing with the Steelers, according to Jordan Schultz. So you think you've got Milton Williams, and then all of a sudden you find out that you don't have Milton Williams. That is absolutely freaking brutal. Absolutely brutal. But not for New England. Big day for New England. Because they landed Milton Williams, who was the best defensive player on the market, and they paid him the money. They gave him that big, fat contract, which, by the way, will now make, according to Burt Breer, this is kind of crazy to think about, but it will make Milton Williams the highest paid player in Patriots franchise history. Brady had been number one at $25 million per. So Milton Williams. Brian Hoyer, by the way, reacting to Robert Spillane. Mike Giardi tweeted out, Robert Spillane is a badass. Been healthy the last 2 years, tackled everything in sight, running backs, tight ends, quarterbacks, the popcorn vendor. Brian Hoyer said, Spill is as tough as they come and the ultimate competitor, one of my favorite teammates from Vegas. Great signing by the Patriots. So that's just in case you were a little upset about Spillane. Another super chat. Let's get to 12 super chat here. Sitting in Germany and to have no other Patriots live coverage, you have no idea what your activity means to me. Appreciate you, Nick. Thanks a lot. Well, thank you, Tobias Hensel, all the way from Germany. I love it. I love it when we go around the world. A Germany shout out. That's the good stuff right there. That is the good stuff right there. That's what we're I love hearing from people. I've had people from Australia. I've had people from now Germany and England. Thank you so much. You have no idea what your support means to me, Tobias. I appreciate you. Joey Bats, Sam Darnold, the Seahawks. Thank you. Got that. Was it 3 years, 110 million? Like 55 guaranteed? Oof. Justin TF Patriot, the return of the Boston D Party. I like it. And when you think about Darnold in Seattle, by the way, McTaggart says Romania. Shout out Romania. What was I just saying? See, now I'm blanking. Oh, Seattle, Darnold. Fascinating decision, right? Fascinating decision by Seattle because they picked Sam Darnold over Geno Smith. And when you look at what Geno Smith has done, given the amount of pressure that he's faced, my freaking goodness, he's been really good given the amount of pressure that he has faced in Seattle. And now you have, Sam Darnold there. Sam Darnold has not done great reacting to pressure, right? So, it's an interesting decision. I see somebody who is this. I see dead people. No, I don't. I see Tyson Carter. Can you tell us Milton Williams' PFF grades and ranks? Yeah. So if you're just joining, I'll go back to it. Milton Williams, his 91 PFF pass rush grade was second among interior defenders this past year. His pass rush win rate was fourth amongst interior defensive linemen this past year. Run defense wasn't very good, but the Patriots are less concerned about the run defense up the middle, as we've talked about. They still want to stop the run, but they're a little less concerned about that. And Williams' Pro Football Focus wins above replacement metric, the wins above replacement metric for Pro Football Focus had Milton Williams slotted seventh at the interior defensive line. So Pro Football Focus had Milton Williams as a top 8 defensive tackle this past year. He was the second best pass rushing DT in football. And he's only 25 years old. So, yeah, he's really good. He was really good this past year. And he's only 25 years old. So you love to see it. The Buccaneers have signed Samaje Perine to a 3-year, $22 million deal, so they continue to build out their offense. Josina Anderson, by the way, Milton Williams is getting a 4-year deal. So a 4-year deal. So that's just over $100 million. 4 years, $26 million a year is the deal for Milton Williams from the Patriots. The Patriots went in. They went in on Milton Williams. We've been reading for the last few weeks that Milton Williams was their number one target alongside Chris Godwin. And again, they offered Chris Godwin $20 million more. $20 million more than the Buccaneers offered him. So the defense is ridiculous. We still want them to address the offense. They still need to address the offense. We'll see what they do at left tackle. We'll see what they do at wide receiver. My favorite guy right now, my sneaky good guy for wide receiver, and I had this as part of my plan, was Joshua Palmer. I wouldn't mind Joshua Palmer as Kelly gets me the water. Thank you. Operation Water is good to go. 7 minutes short of 3 hours. Live stream. All right. Sorry for that break. But yeah, I mean, you look at what the Patriots are doing. They're attacking the defensive side of the ball where the depth was in this free agency class. And so I'm not very surprised by that. I'm not very surprised by that. And look, every position that you add, right? Like the Patriots going into the draft, the number one priority is to not feel like you have to draft for need. You don't want to draft out of desperation, because once you draft out of desperation, you start to reach for certain players, right? You start to reach for certain guys. So the good thing here is you add an edge with Harold Landry. You don't have to worry about drafting an edge early if you don't believe an edge is worth drafting early. You sign Morgan Moses. Morgan Moses, along with Caden Wallace, you have a competition at right tackle. Now you don't have to worry about it as much to go out there and draft 2 tackles, right? You now allow Caden Wallace to try to prove that he can be a right tackle in the NFL while you have Morgan Moses, who has proved that he can be a right tackle in the NFL for a long time. You go out, you get Robert Spillane. Little less of a need technically, but you don't have to worry about linebacker now. You certainly don't have to worry about cornerback after signing Carlton Davis. You got Gonzalez. You've got Davis. Now, of course, you can maybe go out and try to get somebody to play nickel. Something along those lines. But everybody that you bring in, it makes it, that much less of a desperation pull during draft time. By the way, Justin Fields is going to the Jets. Adam Schefter says Justin Fields got a 2-year, $40 million deal with $30 million guaranteed. Woof. Woohoo. Justin Fields got $20 million a year with $30 million guaranteed. Yowzer. My word. So right now, the quarterback carousel is falling very, very well. It's falling in place very well with the Patriots' hopes. Because I said this a little while ago. What you want, if you're the Patriots, what you want is you want Sam Darnold to go to Seattle. You want Aaron Rodgers to go to Pittsburgh. And now that Pittsburgh is out on Fields, who was reportedly the guy that they were leaning towards, that might tell us that Rodgers is heading to the Steelers. What you want is Rodgers to the Steelers, Darnold to the Seahawks, Fields to the Jets. Because now the Browns and the Giants, the Giants are interested in Rodgers. If Rodgers goes to Pittsburgh, the Giants, they don't really have a great option at quarterback. So they'll be scrambling for a quarterback, which might make them desperate to draft a quarterback at 3 or move up to 1 and draft Cam Ward. Make that deal, right? Make that deal with Tennessee. And the Browns are scrambling. And so the Browns, according to Adam Schefter, the Browns are drafting a quarterback. Adam Schefter said the Browns are drafting a quarterback. He said that a week or 2 ago. And, he was pretty, committed to that opinion. So if we take Schefter at his word that the Browns are going to draft a quarterback at number 2, now we're looking at the Giants at number 3. So if the Giants swing and miss on Aaron Rodgers, they're looking at, Daniel Jones ain't going back. Daniel Jones reportedly could go to the Colts. So what are we talking? We're talking Zach Wilson to the Giants. We're talking Mac Jones to the Giants. Jameis Winston, Russell Wilson. None of those guys are the answer. None of those guys are the answer. So if Rodgers goes to the Steelers, that would be a gigantic bit of news. By the way, Cam Bynum agrees to a contract with the Colts, 4 years, $60 million. Safety Cam Bynum. The Colts were one of the teams that were interested in Javon Holland. So Javon Holland might be happening soon for somebody. By the way, of course, with Justin Fields going to the Jets, you now have Justin Fields with the Jets against this Patriots defense. I would say that's really good news for the Patriots. So, and you've got Tua Tagovailoa in Miami, of course. But you have the situation with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, but now you've got Christian Gonzalez and Carlton Davis to defend those guys. Obviously, Buffalo is still a problem with Josh Allen. So you look at the draft. If this comes together, again, if all of this comes together, we're getting closer and closer by the minute. If you are the Patriots, Rodgers goes to the Steelers, it becomes more likely. It becomes more likely that Travis Hunter could fall to 4. Cam Ward's going in the top 3. Universally, that's pretty much agreed upon. Now, if Abdul Carter goes number 1 to Tennessee, which is certainly on the table, the Browns draft Cam Ward, again, it goes to the Giants. And what do the Giants do at 3? Do they pass up Shedeur Sanders? Brian Daboll has his job on the line. He can't have another losing season. Joe Shane, the GM, as we know, got killed about Saquon Barkley. He can't survive with another losing season. You're going to end up having a desperate Giants team without a long-term answer at quarterback sitting there at 3. And do they feel desperate to the point where they're like, you know what? Shedeur Sanders might not be worth taking 3rd in this draft, but we would take him if we were like lower in the 1st round. So we might just draft our guy. So the way this is, the way this is unfolding, it's been good news so far for the Patriots with that quarterback carousel. Because you're getting closer to Travis Hunter possibly falling to 4. By the way, this is a good point I just saw from Dove Kleiman. Of course, Justin Fields goes to the Jets. We all know Garrett Wilson is on the Jets, and of course, they were teammates at Ohio State. So I would imagine this means Garrett Wilson will stay with the Jets. That's what I imagine this means. So they get Garrett Wilson's college quarterback, maybe a little bit of a wink, wink, nod, nod, and you keep Garrett Wilson happy because reportedly Garrett Wilson wasn't necessarily excited about Aaron Rodgers. All right, let's see if Seth Walder here, ESPN. Seth Walder has been doing a running grade system for free agency. So Seth Walder graded Harold Landry, the signing of Harold Landry, we talked about it earlier, B+. Seth Walder also chooses a B+ for the signing of Robert Spillane. This is what Seth Walder wrote. Mike Vrabel has his new linebacker. While Dre Greenlaw was arguably the highest upside player remaining, Spillane was the most reliable given Greenlaw's injury history. Spillane's 39% run-stop win rate ranked 21st among off-ball linebackers. He had a 43% pass rush win rate. He recorded 17 pass rush wins, which was 6th amongst off-ball linebackers. He allowed 0.6 yards per coverage snap, which was 6th among linebackers with at least 300 coverage snaps. So again, Seth Walder of ESPN says Robert Spillane is a B+ signing by the Patriots. 21st in run-stop win rate among off-ball linebackers. He was 6th most in pass rush wins at off-ball linebacker. And he was 6th among linebackers in yards per coverage snap. Walder writes, Spillane is a good player, then older than you think at 29. The deal is not cheap, but I think I would rather have Spillane at this price than Nick Bolton, Jamien Sherwood, or Ernest Jones. So a B+ for Landry, a B+ for Spillane. They also gave a B for the trade of Devon Godchaux, who was traded to New Orleans for a 7th-round pick in 2026. All right, Dayo Adeyingbo, defensive edge from the Colts, signs with the Bears. $16 million per year, $32 million fully guaranteed. So Dayo goes to the Bears. That was one of the guys that had been linked to the Patriots. You obviously figured that the Harold Landry and Milton Williams signings impacted the decision to not go out and go hard after Dayo Adeyingbo. So it's a big signing for the Bears. They've been very active, obviously addressing the interior of their defensive line. Offensive line, and now they're addressing defensive edge. So Chicago's been very busy the last couple of weeks between the trades for the offensive line work and now that signing Adeyingbo. So we're still waiting. We're still waiting for a lot of names. Cam Robinson is still out there. Let's kind of recap here who's still available. Cam Robinson is still out there. Dre Greenlaw is still out there. I mean, of course, you're also looking at the fact that some of these guys are not going to be signed by the Patriots because the Patriots have already filled holes. So let's look at the top free agents here according to Underdog. Free agent quarterbacks we don't care about, right? Maybe Jacoby Brissett goes to the Giants. How about that? Maybe that happens. Free agent wide receivers. T. Higgins tagged. Godwin obviously stayed in Tampa, even though the Patriots offered $20 more million. Hollywood Brown is staying with Kansas City on a 1-year deal. Still available. Amari Cooper, Keenan Allen, DeAndre Hopkins, my guy, Joshua Palmer, Stephon Diggs, Deontay Johnson, Elijah Moore. So those are the remaining receivers. Again, not many sexy names, a bunch of older dudes, right? That's what happens at free agency. Tight end, not worried about it since obviously the Patriots re-signed Austin Hooper. Running back, I don't think the Patriots are going to be in on a running back unless it's very low money. So I don't think that's going to happen. All right, as far as tackles, let's look at the tackles that remain. Obviously, we know that Cam Robinson is still out there, as I just mentioned. So he's on the list. Underdog had Cam Robinson as the 5th tackle. But Ronnie Stanley, Dan Moore, Alaric Jackson, all done. Cornelius Lucas, I think he's still available. Cam Robinson, Jedrick Wills, still available. DJ Humphries, still available. Joseph Noteboom, still available. Guards, Trey Smith is out. Kevin Zeitler is still around. Brendan Scherf, still around. Patrick McCarry, Mark Daniels of Mass Live, reported that the Patriots are showing interest in McCarry. Tevin Jenkins is somebody that I would love. He's got to stay healthy, but he's talented. Mekhi Becton still available. So there's a lot of guards, right? I mean, you've got McCarry, you've got Jenkins, you've got Becton, you've got Dalton Risner, you've got Aaron Banks from San Francisco, former Notre Dame Fighting Irish. You have a number of guys. Will Freeze is somebody that people have brought up. So you've got a number of guards still where you can address this offensive line. So that's good. A lot of depth on the offensive guard market. So you still have those guys available. Center, we heard the Patriots are interested in center. Drew Dahlman agreed with the Chicago Bears earlier today. I believe Ryan Kelly is still available. Austin Corbett, I believe, is still available. Josh Myers, my guy, Brady Christensen is the guy I had in my offseason plan. He can play all 5 offensive line positions. If you're interested in edge, here is who is still available. Josh Sweat right? Josh Sweat has not signed anywhere. So Josh Sweat is still available. DeMarcus Lawrence, Chase Young, Dante Fowler, Malcolm Kuntz, Matthew Judon, Hassan Reddick is gone, Baron Browning is gone. Azeez Ojulari is another name that I brought up that I wouldn't mind. I don't think they're spending any more money on defensive tackle. I think they're set at linebacker. In safety, there's still a number of safeties. I mean, pretty much every safety is available except Cam Bynum. Justin Reed is available, Javon Holland, Andre Sisco, Talanoa Hufanga. I don't think he signed yet. Sounded like he was close to signing with somebody, but he's not signed yet. Jeremy Chin. So pretty much every safety is still available. And according to Underdog, by the way, Carlton Davis was the number one cornerback available this offseason. He played 52% man. 42% of that man coverage was press man coverage. So that's who is still available. So still a number of names out there. Cam Robinson is obviously a very interesting one. The wide receiver, a very interesting one. I see people battling about Cooper Kupp. I don't think they need Cooper Kupp. Not that he would hurt. I'd take Cooper Kupp if they could get him. Brendan Shea, I heard you say Joshua Palmer the other day, but I forgot why you think he's a good fit. Could you go over that? Sure. He's in his mid-20s, 25, 26 years old. I think he's been underutilized in L.A. He is somebody that can play inside and outside. He's played some at X, right? So he's played some X, but he's also played, inside for the Chargers. So he's got versatility. So I think he's a sneaky good receiver who I think you could get, not necessarily spend a $1 trillion on him, but I think he's somebody that you could bring in that would help right away. So, but his versatility, his age, and he's had some production. He's had some production in LA. So when you look at it, it's really him, Darius Slayton still out there. So, it's not like wide receiver. If you want somebody who's not, 30 plus years old, Joshua Palmer is pretty much as good as you can get. So, we'll see what they do. I mean, we'll see what they do. Let me see. I've got underrated players who could be steals. So ESPN had a story from Ben Solak, and it was about underrated players who could be steals. The number one guy on his list was Carlton Davis. Number one guy. Solak wrote, Davis's play in 2024 was still that of a scheme versatile corner with sufficient press man skills. He had the toughest role of the three out of Ward and Reed and Davis. Ben Solak wrote of ESPN, I would feel more comfortable paying Davis as my CB1 over the next 2 seasons than Reed, who peaked as CB2 in New York. So Ben Solak considered Carlton Davis a number one cornerback. A defense that asks Davis to play a little more zone will better fit his skill set, and that's what Vrabel tends to do, by the way. So Carlton Davis was at the top of the list for Ben Solak as far as free agency steals. Let's see if he had anybody else. Anybody else who signed with the Patriots? No. But Carlton Davis was number one with a bullet. So that's good to know. Christian Gonzalez, Carlton Davis. It's a pretty devastating 1-2. And it seems like, Josh Sweat just isn't, doesn't have a lot of interest in Josh Sweat so far. Nobody has signed him. I haven't seen anything. On Josh Sweat today. So that's interesting because a lot of people thought that Josh Sweat was going to be one of the first guys off the board. He was going to be one of those guys that teams would jump all over. So big day so far for the Patriots. Recapping. The Patriots signed Harold Landry last night, re-signed Austin Hooper. Today, they have signed Carlton Davis, Milton Williams, Morgan Moses, and Robert Spillane. All eyes are now on tackle and wide receiver. I'd be fine with Cam Robinson and Joshua Palmer. I would feel like it's a pretty damn good day. Even Darius Slayton. One of Slayton or Palmer and Cam Robinson. So, see a lot of people saying they haven't helped May. I know it's been a 3-hour podcast or live stream. We're over 3 hours. I've said it plenty of times. So you can go back and listen. I've addressed that a million times. The lack of depth in this free agency, all that stuff. Don't want to keep hammering the same stuff, even though we are over 3 hours. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to comment. Don't forget to subscribe. I'm going to tap out right now and go have some lunch. If something big happens, I'll be back later on. 3 hours and 15 minutes. Whew. Thank you to everybody. Again, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm gassed. Got to get a little extra energy. Something happens. I'll be back later on to talk about it. Till then, be well. Appreciate every single one of you.